Chapter 28-49. The sun was high in the sky. Ji Tianqing was flying in the sky above the setting sun sea region. At this time, he was only 100,000 miles away from the profound light cave. I hope I came in time and nothing happened to the profound light cave. Ji Tianqing murmured and prayed in his heart. But at this time, he suddenly heard a loud, muffled sound coming from the sky in front of him. Boom! It was like a muffled thunder that exploded in the sky and reverberated. Not only that. Ji Tianqing also vaguely saw a divine light and flame in the sky 100,000 miles to the north. He could immediately determine. The muffled sound came from that area. An earth-shattering explosion had occurred there. 100,000 miles to the north. Isn't that the island where the profound light cave is? Ji Tianqing thought of the profound light cave, and his expression changed. His eyes flashed with anxiety. Damn it! I was one step too late. Did something happen to the profound light cave? Filled with anxiety, he sped up and flew towards the profound light cave. Whoosh! He turned into a blurry shadow and flickered in the sky as he flew towards the north. At the same time, he released his divine sense and covered 30,000 miles around him to investigate the situation. The profound light cave was definitely the work of the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family. At this time, the people of the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family must be near the profound light cave. Not long after, Ji Tianqing arrived near the profound light cave. When he was 40,000 miles away from the profound light island, his divine sense detected the auras of several heavenly god experts rushing at the bottom of the sea. He hurriedly hid his tracks and quietly investigated the situation at the bottom of the sea. He soon saw clearly. They were 12 black-clothed experts who had just escaped from the profound light island and were fleeing towards the island in the west. They were all dressed in black and wore masks to hide their true faces. But they all had the mark of a blood sword on their foreheads. Ji Tianqing immediately frowned, and his eyes became cold. It was indeed the bastards of the Blood Sword sect who secretly blew up the profound light cave. Killing intent rose in his heart. He followed the 12 black-clothed experts and rushed to the island in the west. Not long after, the group arrived at the barren island covered with reefs. 12 men in black flew out of the water and landed on the island, reporting the situation to Yuan Jia and Consecrator Shi. Only then did Ji Tianqing realize that there were actually 10 experts on the island. They were all wearing black clothes and masks. He could tell with a single glance that they were all from the Blood Sword sect. 2 people, one old and one young, stood on the reef. The old man was tall and sturdy, with a grizzled goatee under his mask. His aura was unfathomable. His strength actually reached the Divine Lord realm. That youth was tall and had an extraordinary bearing. His strength was also close to the Divine Lord realm. When Ji Tianqing saw the 2 people clearly, he couldn't help but frown as he muttered in his heart. Why do those 2 from the Blood Sword sect look so familiar? Where have I seen them before? He had originally planned to charge onto the island and exterminate the 22 men in black. But there was something fishy about this. He suppressed his killing intent and hid in the clouds, secretly observing the island. He saw the 12 black-clothed men reporting the situation to the old man. When the old man and the black-clothed youth learned that their plan had succeeded, they sneered with satisfaction. Then, one of the black-clothed men took out a shattered divine crystal and handed it to the old man. Everyone discussed the source of the divine crystal and the possibility that there was a divine crystal mine in the profound light cave. Ji Tianqing, who was hiding in the clouds, heard everything clearly. At the same time, he recognized the black-clothed old man and the youth and identified them. Yuan Jie. And Consecrator Shi from the City Lord Mansion. It's actually the 2 of them. I didn't expect the City Lord Mansion to ally with the Lu family and the Blood Sword sect to deal with the Qi family. In order to seize the profound light cave, they actually used such despicable methods. Ji Tianqing didn't hear much, but it was very important. The words three forces and the blood sword sect has seized the profound light cave, allowed him to understand many things. He could no longer suppress the killing intent in his heart and quietly took out the sword of burial of heaven, brazenly attacking. Sword rain. Ji Tianqing pointed the sword of burial of heaven at the sky and roared. Immediately, nearly 10,000 starlight dots appeared in the sky and fell like a meteor shower. 10,000 giant starlight swords, carrying the power to destroy heaven and earth, flew toward the island. The area within 1,000 miles was covered by invisible sword intent, forming a sword Dao domain. At this moment, Consecrator Shi, Yuan Jie, and the others were still standing on the reefs of the island. They had already completed the plan to blow up the profound light cave. Next, they just had to wait for the blood sword sect and the Lu family to attack and occupy the profound light cave. But at this moment, 10,000 giant starlight swords fell from the sky and covered the entire island. The invisible and terrifying slaughter sword intent sealed the area within 1,000 miles. Everyone subconsciously looked up at the sky. Seeing the scene in the sky, everyone's expression changed dramatically, revealing shock and anger. Get out of the way. Attack. Don't panic, counterattack. The 20 black-clothed experts were all shocked by the sword intent. Their hearts were filled with fear and they fled in panic. Yuan Jie and Consecrator Shi were still able to keep calm. They shouted loudly and ordered the guards to join forces to resist. The next moment, 10,000 giant swords fell and drowned the entire island. Boom, 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 boom. An earth-shattering sound suddenly exploded between heaven and earth, shaking the sky. The barren island within a radius of 200 miles was torn apart by the giant swords on the spot, splashing out endless dust and gravel. More than half of the island collapsed, leaving only a few dozen miles of ruins, which were also drowned by the monstrous waves. More than half of the 20 black-clothed experts were killed by the giant starlight swords on the spot. 14 of them were smashed to pieces, and even their godheads were shattered. They died directly. The remaining 6 managed to escape with their lives, but they were also heavily injured and fell into the sea in a sorry state. Even Yuan Jie was hit by a few giant swords and suffered heavy injuries. His black robe and protective armor had been blasted into pieces. His hair was disheveled, and he was covered in blood as he lay in the ruins, gasping for breath in pain. Consecrator Shi was the strongest, having reached the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm. He had withstood the attacks of the giant swords and only suffered light injuries. His black robe was tattered and stained with blood. But even so, when he saw the scene in front of him, he was incomparably shocked and furious. Bastard! Where did this bastard come from, daring to oppose our blood sword sect? Consecrator Shi looked up at the sky, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth as he angrily cursed. Even now, he was still calm, not forgetting to pretend to be an elder of the blood sword sect. Then, Ji Tianqing appeared in the sky above the ruins. He looked down at Consecrator Shi and Yuan Jie with a cold smile. Bastards of the blood sword sect, you're actually so despicable. Back in the arena, you pretended to be disciples of the Lu family and were cut down by my sword. Your skills were inferior, so you used such despicable methods. Ji Tianqing recognized Consecrator Shi and Yuan Jie, but he didn't expose them. After all, the Qi family's public enemies were the blood sword sect and the Lu family. For the time being, it wasn't appropriate to have a falling out with the city lord mansion, let alone start a frontal war. End of chapter. Chapter 2850. Yuan Jie and Consecrator Shi also recognized Ji Tianqing. It's you. Consecrator Shi's pupils constricted, revealing an expression of disbelief. He couldn't accept this result at all. The person who killed 16 guards and injured him and Yuan Jie in one move was actually a consecrator of the Qi family. Not long ago, Consecrator Shi personally hosted the martial arts competition. He remembered clearly that Ji Tianqing was only at the heavenly god realm at that time, not the divine lord realm. And now, Ji Tianqing was still at the heavenly god realm, not the divine lord realm. But his combat strength was more than 20 times stronger than before. How could Consecrator Shi believe this? He was stunned at that time, a storm raging in his heart. Consecrator Shi's reaction was still calm. But Yuan Jie's reaction was even more intense and real. He glared at Ji Tianqing as if he had seen a ghost. His mouth was wide open, but he couldn't make any sound. After a long time, he roared hysterically, "Impossible. How can it be you? I don't believe it. It's only been half a month, how can you be so strong?" Yuan Jie's pride and self-confidence were completely crushed and scattered on the ground. Even if he was beaten to death, he couldn't accept this reality. Back then, he lost to Ji Tianqing in the arena, and he regarded it as a great humiliation. He firmly believed that Ji Tianqing was inferior to him. He was the most dazzling genius. Because Ji Tianqing killed him halfway, he didn't understand the situation and underestimated the enemy, which was why he lost miserably. He kept comforting himself like this, and he could still preserve the pride in his heart. But now, the facts proved that Ji Tianqing was more than 20 times stronger than him, killing him like slaughtering a chicken. How could someone as proud and arrogant as him accept this? For a moment, Yuan Jie was so ashamed that blood gushed out of his nose and mouth, and his will was on the verge of collapse. Ji Tianqing didn't waste time. He sneered with a mocking face. "Blood sword sect animals, you've committed all kinds of crimes and are heartless. Now, I'll kill you on behalf of Tianqing." As he spoke, he opened the 9 heavens 10 absolutes pagoda. Swish! Swish! White Dragon, Yin Yao, Ji Ku, and the others appeared in the sky. They had been waiting for a long time. Without saying a word, they attacked Yuan Jie and the 6 black-clothed experts. Before Yuan Jie could see their faces clearly, he was enveloped by a sky full of sword shadows. The 6 injured black-clothed experts were also drowned by the colorful light of the divine spell. Rumble! Bang 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 bang! The two sides began to fight fiercely in the ruins and in the sky. The 6 black-clothed experts were relatively weak, and they were also seriously injured. They were soon forced into a desperate situation and were killed by Yun Yao and Ji Ku one after another. Yuan Jie was also beaten back by the White Dragon. His injuries were getting worse and worse, and his life was at stake. Consecrator Shi's heart was burning with anxiety as he immediately acted to save Yuan Jie. However, just as he was about to attack the White Dragon, he was stopped by Ji Tianqing. "Old bastard, your opponent is me." Ji Tianqing let out a low roar as he waved his sword and launched a fierce attack on Consecrator Shi. Consecrator Shi had no choice but to use all his strength to defend. After the two exchanged 3 moves, Consecrator Shi was forced to retreat and fly towards the sea in the distance. He could only take out his natal divine artifact and fight with Ji Tianqing with 2 divine hooks. However, this could only delay his defeat. He was still no match for Ji Tianqing. He was beaten back continuously, and his injuries were getting worse quickly. 20 breaths later, Ji Tianqing and Consecrator Shi flew thousands of miles away from the island. At this time, the 6 black-clothed experts had already been killed by Yun Yao and Ji Ku. Not even their bones were left. Yuan Jie was also beaten very badly. He was running away in a sorry state. White Dragon chased after him with murderous intent. Yun Yao and Ji Ku also started to intercept him. Soon, Yuan Jie was in a desperate situation. He was about to die under the joint attack of the 3. At this critical moment, he actually tore off the mask on his face and shouted angrily, "Stop! All of you stop! I'm not a disciple of the Blood Sword sect. I'm the young city lord of Qingshan City, Yuan Jie. You can't kill me. Otherwise, it'll be a public rebellion." The Qi family will also suffer the wrath of the city lord mansion and be reduced to ashes. Yuan Jie was forced into a dead end. He actually announced his true identity in order to survive. This was very shameful and would make the city lord mansion lose face. However, in order to save his life, he couldn't care less. Consecrator Shi, who was thousands of miles away, also stiffened when he heard Yuan Jie's roar. He revealed a bitter smile. His heart was filled with sorrow as he muttered to himself, "Young city lord, oh young city lord, how can you be so spineless? By announcing your true identity in public, you're admitting that the city lord mansion colluded with the blood sword sect to harm the Qi family's property. Not only will this smear the city lord mansion's name and embarrass the city lord, it will also affect our plan. If the Qi family uses this to complain to the county city and the king, our city lord mansion will be finished." At this moment, Consecrator Shi was somewhat disheartened. The city lord was so far-sighted. How could he have such a useless son? Consecrator Shi could understand that Yuan Jie had no choice but to do this to save his life. However, doing this was too shameful and stupid. Consecrator Shi sighed inwardly, forget it, forget it. As long as the young city lord can save his life, so be it. He thought that it wouldn't be a problem to save the young city lord's life first and then plan to deal with the Qi family later. However, the next scene caused his expression to change drastically. His entire heart fell into an ice cellar. Bai Long, Yin Yao, and the others were stunned for a moment, frowning as they stared at Yuan Jie. Then, White Dragon shouted in a righteous tone, "Bastard! Don't try to fool us. The city lord mansion is the parent of Qingshan City. How righteous, fair, and selfless are you? You bastard of the blood sword sect, how dare you pretend to be the young city lord and smear the city lord mansion's reputation? You should be cut into pieces." After that, Bai Long, Yin Yao, and the others didn't give Yuan Jie a chance to explain. They attacked even more ferociously. Bang bang bang. Rumble. Dozens of dazzling divine abilities and consummate skills with destructive power drowned the despairing Yuan Jie. He was no longer spared. He was dismembered on the spot and exploded into a mist of blood and powder. Even his godhead was shattered by Ji Ku's spear, and more than a dozen fragments flew out. The young city lord, Yuan Jie, was killed just like that. He died unjustly and sullenly. He was clearly the young city lord, but he pretended to be a disciple of the blood sword sect and schemed against the Qi family. In the end, his scheme was seen through, and he was also in a desperate situation. In order to survive, he had to reveal his true identity. However, the other party was even more ruthless. They thought he was a disciple of the blood sword sect and killed him directly. What the hell was this? Was there anything more wrongly accused than this? In the sky above the sea 10,000 miles away, Consecrator Shi witnessed Yuan Jie's death with his own eyes. His body immediately turned cold, and his heart was filled with despair. He didn't expect Ji Tianqing to be so ruthless. He didn't give them a chance to live and directly killed them all. End of chapter. Chapter 2851. Consecrator Tianqing. Are you crazy? You actually killed the young city lord. This is a disaster. The Qi family is finished. Consecrator Shi came back to his senses and glared at Ji Tianqing, his eyes spitting fire as he roared and cursed. Ji Tianqing was still attacking fiercely. He looked at Consecrator Shi with disdain and sneered, "Old bastard, you're from the blood sword sect, yet you dare to impersonate the city lord? Don't try to quibble. This seat will take Tianqing's place." Consecrator Shi was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "That's the young city lord, Yuan Jie. You fought him before. How can you pretend not to know him?" Ji Tianqing curled his lips in disdain. "Bah! How can you fool this seat with such petty tricks? He's a disciple of the blood sword sect who disguised himself as Yuan Jie. You still want to deceive this seat? Dream on. After saying that, he sped up his attacks and erupted with even more violent power. Consecrator Shi was beaten back again and again. His injuries were even more miserable, and he was already covered in blood. In his anger, he tore off the mask on his face and roared, "Little bastard, open your eyes and see who this seat is. This seat is a consecrator of the city lord's mansion, and I presided over the martial competition. You say the young city lord is a fake, but am I a fake as well? If you stop now, there's still room for negotiation. Otherwise, the city lord's mansion will be irreconcilable with the Qi family, and the Qi family will be destroyed." Ji Tianqing glanced at him and sneered with disdain. "You're Consecrator Shi. Why don't you say you're the city lord? Anyway, your face is covered in blood, and your body is covered in wounds. I can't see your original appearance anymore. No matter what you say, this seat won't believe you. I'll kill you." Consecrator Shi was completely mad with anger. He suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was furious and glared at Ji Tianqing with bloodshot eyes. "Little bastard. You're playing dumb. You clearly recognized us, but you want to kill us all. You're determined to go against the city lord's mansion. You're dead, and so is the Qi family." Ji Tianqing took the opportunity to cut off his right arm and sneered, "That's right. Before I made my move, I already recognized the two of you. But so what? You pretended to be disciples of the Blood Sword sect, so I'll beat you at your own game and kill you all. What's wrong with that?" In any case, the Qi clan had already formed a grudge with the Blood Sword sect, so there was no need for them to feel pressured by another blood debt. As for the City Lord Mansion, you formed an alliance with the Lu clan and the Blood Sword sect in order to destroy the Qi clan. Why should I give you face? Not only you and Yuan Jie, soon, I will kill the City Lord. If you can't be the City Lord, then let the Qi family be the City Lord. Everything Ji Tianqing said was enough to shock the entire Tianfeng County. However, his tone was very relaxed, like the clouds and the wind. Consecrator Shi was both shocked and angry. There was even a trace of fear in his heart. He stared at Ji Tianqing in disbelief and shook his head repeatedly. "You're crazy. You and the Qi family are both crazy. You. How dare you? How dare you be so reckless?" As he roared, blood spurted from his mouth. Ji Tianqing sneered indifferently. "You've already attacked the Qi clan and wanted to destroy them. What else do I not dare to do? Besides, I don't feel any pressure or guilt when I kill the God clan." Consecrator Shi was stunned again. He couldn't figure out what those words meant. However, he didn't need to think too much about it. Kaboom! A giant golden sword that could split heaven and earth fell from the sky and slashed at him. His divine body collapsed on the spot, exploding into billions of pieces and a bloody mist that filled the sky and scattered on the sea. Even his quintessence shattered into a dozen pieces and scattered in the sky. Consecrator Shi, a third-level divine lord, died just like that. Whoosh! Ji Tianqing waved his hand, grabbed the dozen quintessence fragments, and put them into his interspatial ring. He put away the sword of burial of heaven, turned around, and flew toward the ruins of the island. By long, Yin Yao, and the other two had finished their battle and were cleaning up the battlefield. Ji Tianqing arrived above the ruins and started cleaning up the battlefield. He said, "Put away the fragments of black clothes and masks. Those are all evidence that will be useful in the future." The four worked together and cleaned up the battlefield in just 100 breaths. More than 100 quintessence fragments, 22 interspatial rings, and a dozen sets of black clothes and masks were all put into Ji Tianqing's interspatial ring. This battle was very fruitful. It wasn't just the quintessence fragments, divine stones, and resources in the interspatial ring. Most importantly, the black clothes and masks were the Blood Sword sect's belongings. They were all evidence that would be very useful in the future. Then, Yun Yao, Bai Long, and the others entered the Divine Tower again. Ji Tianqing left the ruins alone and went to Profound Light Island. The Profound Light Island was currently in chaos. On the island, with a circumference of a few hundred miles, several mountain ranges had collapsed, and huge cracks had appeared. The center of the island was the most damaged. Mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The Profound Light Cave at the bottom of the cliff was even more devastated. Smoke and dust filled the sky. The flat land at the bottom of the cliff was the workshop for refining ores and refining divine stones, as well as the warehouse and living quarters. Half an hour ago, several underground mines exploded and destroyed more than half of the Profound Light Cave. This flat land was also affected, and huge cracks appeared on the ground. Many houses collapsed, and the workshop was damaged. Hundreds of miners and craftsmen were seriously injured. The entrance to the underground mines was blocked by a large amount of earth and rocks, and smoke kept rising. At the time of the explosion, there were thousands of miners working in the 12 underground mines. There were also hundreds of Qi family guards supervising the work in the mines. Mines number 9, number 7, number 3 and number 1 exploded at the same time, causing the collapse of all 4 mines. More than 300 miners and dozens of guards were killed on the spot. Even their corpses were buried deep in the mines by the dust and rocks. There were also dozens of miners and guards who were lucky enough to survive. But they were all seriously injured, and were still trapped in the blocked mines, waiting for rescue in despair and helplessness. The entire Profound Light Cave was in chaos. 2 deacons led 200 guards and miners to dig out the blocked mine entrance and try to rescue the injured in the mines. The mining work had stopped. Everyone was involved in the excavation and rescue work. They were very busy. Under such circumstances, the defensive power of the Profound Light Cave was extremely weak. It was practically non-existent. But at this moment, the originally clear sky was suddenly covered by dark clouds. A black cloud thousands of miles wide came from the south and stopped in the sky above Profound Light Island. The surging black clouds carried an enormous pressure as they enveloped the entire Profound Light Island. A sharp and bloody killing intent spread from the black cloud and lingered in the hearts of countless people. Immediately, everyone felt their hearts grow heavy. They had a bad feeling. They were suppressed to the point that they had difficulty walking, breathing, and circulating. Their divine power was not smooth. Countless people looked up at the sky and stared warily at the black cloud. Then, everyone saw hundreds of black-clothed people fly out of the black cloud. End of chapter. Chapter 28:52. Swish. 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 Nearly 100 black-clothed experts flew out of the black clouds. Like dumplings, they fell from the sky and landed around the Mystic Light Cave. Those black-clothed experts were clearly well-trained. In a short span of 10 breaths, they occupied the key positions around the Mystic Light Cave. They formed a huge circle, surrounding the Mystic Light Cave. Only 10 black-clothed people were left in the sky above the Mystic Light Cave. The 2 people in the lead both had Divine Lord Realm strength. Their auras were majestic and domineering. One was more than 10 feet tall, built like an iron tower, with palms as large as fans. This person wore a loose black robe and a bronze ghost mask. He had a head of white hair that reached his shoulders. This white-haired Divine Lord was clearly the leader of the group. Not only was his aura the strongest, but his divine power aura was also filled with killing and bloody aura. Standing beside him was a short and fat middle-aged man. This person also wore a black robe and a black iron mask, unable to see his anger. Under the mask, only a pair of small squinted eyes were revealed, flickering with a sharp cold light. Apart from these 2 Divine Lord experts, there were still 8 black-clothed experts behind them. Their strength had all reached the 8th level of the Celestial God Realm. These people's actions were neat and uniform. Their entire bodies were filled with strong killing intent. It was obvious that they were elites who had undergone special training. The black clouds pressed down. The encirclement was complete. The invisible pressure of the divine array already enveloped the mystic light cave. The mystic light cave, which was originally noisy, immediately quieted down. Everyone stopped trying to rescue. They all drew their weapons and quickly formed a formation, assuming a defensive posture. The two deacons' faces were gloomy, showing anxiety and worry in their eyes. The two stepped into the sky, facing off with the 10 black-clothed people 1,000 feet away from them. Although the other party came menacingly and was led by 2 Divine Lord experts. These 2 deacons were extremely worried, but on the surface, they could maintain calm. After all, they were both Qi Tianlong's cousins, direct descendants of the Qi family. In the past 200 years, they had personally experienced the development of the Qi family and also experienced countless storms. Even if the 2 of them were not as smart and capable as Qi Tianlong, they would not disgrace the Qi family. The Grand Deacon looked at the 2 black-robed divine emperors and cupped his hands. "I am Qi Tianqing, the Grand Deacon of the Qi family." The second deacon also cupped his hands and bowed, "I am Qi Tianchen, the second deacon of the Qi family." After exchanging greetings, Qi Tianqing said in a low voice, "Everyone, this is Profound Light Island. According to the agreement of the 6 great clans, our Qi clan has won the martial competition. For the next 10 years, Profound Light Island will be our Qi clan's property, and no one will be allowed to invade it." Qi Tianchen continued, "No matter where you come from or what your purpose is, please abide by the agreement and think twice before you act. Just now, there was an accident in the Profound Light Cave. There was a collapse. We are trying our best to treat the wounded and unblock the tunnel. At this juncture, we don't have the time or energy to entertain you. Therefore, no matter what business you have, please leave Profound Light Island." The interactions between the aristocratic families were always so complicated and hypocritical. Even though the 2 of them clearly knew that someone had deliberately blown up the Profound Light Cave to create chaos. This group of black-clad men before Shaoqin did not come with good intentions. They wanted to take this opportunity to snatch the Profound Light Cave. However, they could not say it out loud. They could only express their attitude in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing, hoping that the other party would retreat. Even though the possibility of the other party leaving Profound Light Island was 0. The white-haired Divine Emperor, who was the leader, narrowed his turbid eyes. He stared at the 2 deacons, his withered old hands behind his back. He grinned coldly and said, "Ha ha ha. 2 immature brats, things have already come to this, and you still want to play dumb? Don't you know why this old man has brought people here?" Hearing this, the 2 deacons frowned. They secretly gripped the hilts of their swords, accumulating divine power in their bodies. On the flat ground below, hundreds of guards, craftsmen, and miners also gripped their weapons, ready to fight at any time. The white-haired Divine Emperor directly ignored everyone's vigilance. He looked at the 2 deacons with sharp eyes and said in a dignified tone, "You are both smart people. This old man doesn't want to waste my breath. If you don't want to be buried here, then obediently give up on the Profound Light Cave and leave this place. You should know that the Profound Light Cave is a treasure land that your Qi clan can't encroach on." As soon as his voice trailed off, he unleashed an earth-shattering amount of Qi that headed towards the 2 attendants. Puff, the 2 deacons' expressions changed. They immediately bent over and blood spurted out of their noses and mouths. They were only at the 9th level of the divine realm. How could they resist the pressure of a divine emperor? Without even lifting a finger, the other party had caused them to suffer internal injuries. What kind of valiant strength was this? Even so, the 2 deacons stubbornly held their heads high and refused to back down. 70 years ago, it was our Qi clan who discovered this treasure land. Now, we have won the martial arts competition and rightfully own this treasure land. Why should we give it away? Although you are divine emperors and we are no match for you, we are still Qi clan members. However, we are the disciples of the Qi clan. Even if we die here, we will not back down. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqin's sonorous and resolute tones spread throughout the entire mine. Hundreds of guards, craftsmen, and miners of the Qi clan all held their heads high and stood together against a common enemy. At this moment, the short and fat divine emperor in a black robe sneered and said, "Qi Tianqing, Qi Tianqin, you two brothers are quite courageous. Unfortunately, it's useless no matter how courageous you are. Whoever's fist is bigger will own this treasure land. Let me give you one last piece of advice. If you don't leave this place, you will all be turned into ashes." The man's voice was very unpleasant. It sounded like the cry of a male duck. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqin were stunned for a moment. Their expressions changed drastically as they shouted angrily, "Lu Jiuchong! It's you, you bastard! Lu Jiuchong! How can you be so despicable?" Obviously, the short and fat divine emperor in a black robe was the head of the Lu clan, Lu Jiuchong. Now that he had the backing of the Blood Sword sect, he was flushed with success, and his ego was inflated. Even though he was wearing a black robe and a mask to disguise himself as a member of the Blood Sword sect, he didn't bother to change his voice, which was why the Qi brothers recognized him. Anyway, he was confident that victory was in his hands. Today, there was the fourth elder of the Blood Sword sect and 30 disciples of the Blood Sword sect. Together with the 70 experts of the Lu clan, it was enough to crush the Qi clan and take over the Dark Light Cave easily. Lu Jiuchong was exposed in public, but he didn't feel embarrassed or deny it. He looked at the two deacons with a smile and said coldly, "So what if it's me? This is a world where the strong prey on the weak. The Qi clan is weak, but you want to take control of the Dark Light Cave and use it to soar into the sky. After today, the Qi clan will be turned into ashes and will cease to exist. Kneel down and surrender now and be my dogs. Maybe you can save your lives." Chapter 28:53. Lu Jiuchong, you bastard. You'll die a horrible death. Even if we die, we won't bow down to you. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqin were enraged, and their killing intent soared to the sky. Lu Jiuchong sneered disdainfully. The white-haired divine lord didn't want to waste any more time. He shouted, "Since you insist on dying, I'll fulfill your wish." As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his left palm and struck out a 5-colored palm shadow towards the two deacons. His right hand formed a seal and sent out a blood-colored fist light towards the entrance of the mine. Bang! Boom! The white-haired divine lord's fist light and palm shadow didn't hit the two deacons, the guards, and the craftsmen below the cliff. This was because the mystic light cave was protected by a monarch-grade divine array. A 5-colored light barrier with a radius of 100 miles covered the empty space below the cliff and the entrance to the mine. The palm shadow and fist radiance collided with the grand formation, causing an earth-shattering boom to erupt. Fragments of divine light burst out and filled the sky. The entire mystic light island trembled violently, and huge waves rose from the surrounding sea. 2 cracks appeared on the huge 5-colored light barrier, and countless cracks extended in all directions. Although the Qi family members inside the light barrier weren't injured, they were still trembling. But everyone was shaken to the point that they staggered left and right, letting out anxious cries. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqin hurriedly gave orders. "Everyone, work together to support the defensive array. Go all out to stop the bastards of the Lu family and the Blood Sword sect." As the two shouted, they led a large number of guards, craftsmen, and miners to inject divine power into the defensive array. They clenched their teeth and held on. The 2 cracks on the light barrier quickly healed as the defensive array was replenished. Seeing this, the white-haired divine lord sneered disdainfully. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. He raised his palms again, forming a mysterious divine art, and unleashing his ultimate skill. Blood sword slashes the heavens. When the white-haired Sir God's divine power was accumulated to the peak, he let out a loud bellow. He slammed his palms down, and a 3,000-meter-long blood-colored sword appeared in the sky. The giant crimson sword slashed toward the five-colored light barrier with the power to split open the heavens. Boom! A deafening explosion erupted, resounding through the heavens and spreading for tens of thousands of miles. A 3-meter-long and 3-meter-wide gap appeared on the sturdy and thick multicolored light barrier. Around the gap, dense cracks extended out. Lu Jiuchong immediately became spirited and shouted excitedly, "Everyone, listen to my order. Attack the defensive formation with all your power." The hundreds of black-clothed experts around the cliff waved their divine weapons and used all kinds of secret techniques to attack the five-colored light shield. Bang bang bang. Rumble. Divine art shadows that blotted out the sky poured down like raindrops, smashing onto the five-colored light shield. Lu Jiuchong didn't stay idle either. His hands formed a divine art as he used a secret technique. Four five-colored giant swords fell from the sky like meteors and crashed into the defensive formation. Boom! Dong dong dong! Under the leadership of Lu Jiuchong and the white-haired godlord, all the black-robed men attacked crazily. How could the monarch-level divine formation protecting the mystic light cave withstand such a fierce attack? In the blink of an eye, the five-colored light shield within 100 miles was riddled with holes and cracks. In the end, the white-haired god-lord used his secret technique again and slashed out two heaven-splitting blood blades. With a loud bang, the five-colored light shield couldn't withstand the attack and exploded on the spot. An incomparably violent shockwave exploded at the bottom of the cliff, sweeping out for hundreds of miles. Suddenly, hundreds of disciples of the Qi family were blown away and fell to the ground with blood spurting out. They let out painful screams. Even Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian were bleeding from their 7 orifices and fell from the sky into the ruins. Ha ha ha, the defensive formation is broken. Everyone, attack. Kill everyone in the Qi clan. Don't even leave a chicken or dog alive. Lu Jiuchong laughed proudly as he raised his arms and gave the order to attack. The hundreds of black-clothed experts around the cliff all shouted excitedly as they waved their weapons and attacked the mystic light cave below. The white-haired divine lord stood proudly in the sky as he looked down at everyone with an indifferent expression. He had a dignified posture as if he despised all living beings. The defensive formation was broken and the Qi family had no power to resist anymore. There was no need for him to do anything. Lu Jiuchong and the hundreds of black-clothed experts could kill all the disciples of the Qi family and quickly occupy the mystic light cave. Of course, it was the best time for the white-haired god-lord to show off. However, just as the black-clothed experts were cheering and attacking with murderous intent, the members of the Qi family were full of despair and they shouted angrily. A black shadow that blotted out the sun suddenly fell from the sky and smashed into the cliff with a boom. The earth-shattering sound made everyone feel dizzy and their blood was in a mess. The entire island was shaken to the point of bouncing up and down, creating countless ravines. Huge waves that were hundreds of feet high rose up from the surrounding sea, surging to the heavens. In an instant, the 100 miles of flat land under the cliff and the entrance of the mine were covered by the black shadow. The hundreds of black-clothed men, the white-haired godlord, Lu Jiuchong and the 8 elites were all blocked. Everyone subconsciously stopped attacking and frowned as they looked at the black shadow. It was a pitch-black colossus that was over 10,000 feet tall. It had 9 floors and 8 corners, revealing an ancient and powerful aura. It was also emitting a supreme power that could suppress the world and overlook thousands of worlds. It was a pitch-black and mysterious ancient pagoda. Although the defensive formation of the mystic light cave was broken, this divine tower replaced the formation and covered the entrance of the mine, protecting all the disciples of the Qi family. The white-haired god lord immediately frowned and his eyes became serious. Black Tower. Is this a monarch-level or a king-level divine weapon? Lu Jiucheng's expression changed drastically. He stared at the black divine tower with his mouth agape. His eyes were filled with shock. Whose divine tower is this? Why did it suddenly appear to save the mystic light cave? Qi Tianlong. No, Qi Tianlong doesn't have such a divine weapon. Besides, Qi Tianlong is still in the Tianfeng city. He can't make it back in time. The hundreds of black-clothed experts were also stunned. They stopped in the sky and looked at the mysterious black tower. They were all confused and looked at each other. After a while, the trembling island finally calmed down. The dust that covered the sky also dissipated. The black divine pagoda was still standing there, motionless, and not a single person could be seen. The people of the Qi family had disappeared and there was no movement in the mystic light cave. The white-haired god lord and Lu Jiucheng couldn't hold back their doubts and started to send people to check. It's just a broken tower. Don't worry. Just destroy it. Lu Jiucheng waved his sleeve and gave an order. Then, the 70 black-clothed experts of the Lu family waved their swords and used their secret divine powers to attack the divine tower. Bang, 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 bang. The divine light shadows that blotted out the sky bombarded the divine tower one after another, causing a deafening explosion. But the divine tower didn't move and there wasn't even a trace left. Chapter 28:54. Boom! The surging five-colored divine flames formed a destructive shockwave that swept through the area within a radius of 1,000 miles. Over 100 black-clothed experts couldn't dodge or block in time and were hit by the five-colored divine flames. Only the sound of peng 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 was heard, and everyone was sent flying. More than 50 experts were instantly burned to ashes by the five-colored divine flame. They died silently. The remaining 40 or so experts were also burned to ashes. Their bodies curled up and fell into the surrounding ruins. Their bodies were burned and their godheads were heavily damaged, but they were lucky enough to survive. Scattered in the surrounding ruins, they let out miserable wails and rolled on the ground in pain. Without a doubt, these people were crippled and no longer had the ability to fight. Only the white-haired divine lord, Lu Jiucheng, and the 8 elite experts had retreated in advance and escaped this disaster. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalp went numb and they revealed an incomparably shocked expression. What kind of divine weapon is this? It's actually so strong. A supreme-grade monarch-grade divine weapon. And a low-grade king-grade divine weapon. The white-haired divine lord's eyes widened and he revealed a look of deep shock. Ah! The elite disciples of my Lu family were all killed in an instant. Lu Jiucheng screamed crazily, his heart bleeding. In order to join the Blood Sword sect and divide the benefits of the profound light cave, he had done his best without holding back. He had mobilized all the outstanding disciples of the Lu family to gather these 70 people and disguise them as disciples of the Blood Sword sect. He had thought that it would be easy to take the profound light cave with the Blood Sword sect. But he had never imagined that all the disciples of the Lu family would be killed in the blink of an eye. Even if things went smoothly and he could take the profound light cave and get 20% of the benefits, it couldn't make up for the loss. If all the outstanding disciples of the Lu family died, they would soon be eliminated and become a mediocre family. Thinking of this, Lu Jiucheng was so angry that he almost went berserk. However, he had seen the terror of the divine pagoda with his own eyes and didn't dare to act rashly. He could only look at the white-haired divine lord and ask for help. Fourth Elder, this divine pagoda is strange, you see. The white-haired divine lord stared at the divine pagoda with a burning gaze and bellowed, "Everyone, back off." Lu Jiucheng was relieved of a heavy burden. He hurriedly brought the 8 elite experts and retreated 200 miles into the sky. The white-haired divine monarch slowly raised his palms and activated all his power. He struck out two gigantic blood-red claws that blotted out the sky and the sun, grabbing at the black divine pagoda. Bang! Bang! With a muffled sound, two giant blood-red claws grabbed the black divine tower from both sides. Rise! The white-haired divine lord roared angrily as he raised his palms. He wanted to use his supreme divine power to uproot the mysterious black tower and move it away. However, the mysterious black tower stood in place, not moving at all. It was as if it had taken root and connected with the entire island. I refuse to believe that I can't move this divine pagoda. The white-haired divine monarch bellowed and spat out a mouthful of blood. He had used a secret technique to increase his strength, instantly increasing it by 50%. Bang! He let out another ferocious roar, erupting with earth-shattering power. However, the divine pagoda remained motionless. The white-haired divine monarch's face flushed red. It was useless even if he pushed his power to the limit. At this moment, the divine pagoda suddenly flashed with black light and launched a counterattack. Kaboom! There was a loud and clear explosion. The two giant blood-red claws suddenly collapsed, exploding into blood-red fragments that filled the sky, splashing in all directions. Bang bang! Bang bang! Billions of blood-red fragments hit the surrounding cliffs and mountain peaks. Suddenly, the mountain peaks within a radius of 200 miles were flattened. The mysterious black light spread out and also sent the white-haired divine monarch flying. He tumbled and flew 100 miles away, crashing into a collapsed mountain peak and was buried by endless soil. When he struggled to climb out, his hair was disheveled and his face was covered in blood. He was in an extremely sorry state. Puff, the white-haired divine monarch spat out a mouthful of blood. He covered his chest and coughed for a long time before gradually recovering and flying back into the sky. Lu Jiuchong and the 8 experts quickly surrounded him, looking at him with concern and asking about the situation. Fourth Elder, how are your injuries? Fourth Elder, are you okay? The white-haired divine monarch waved his hand, indicating that everyone did not need to worry. Why are you panicking? This kind of injury is nothing to this old man. He shouted with a dignified expression, full of energy. But just as he finished speaking, he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Obviously, his internal organs had been injured by the mysterious black light, and his injuries were somewhat severe. The 8 elite experts were all true disciples of the Blood Sword sect. They were still calm, silently guarding the white-haired divine monarch. Lu Jiuchong's heart was in a mess. He was angry and anxious, and asked in a trembling voice, Fourth Elder, where did this divine tower come from? Why is it protecting the mysterious light cave? Did a high-level divine monarch make a move? What should we do? A single mysterious black tower had caused heavy casualties, and even the Fourth Elder had suffered heavy injuries. If the owner of this divine tower was really a high-level divine monarch, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not only would they not be able to seize the mysterious light cave, but they would also be trapped here and wiped out. When he thought of this, Lu Jiuchong already had some thoughts of retreating. The Fourth Elder saw through his thoughts and glanced at him coldly. He said in a deep voice, if anything happens, this old man will take care of it. What are you panicking for? If you are afraid, then hurry up and scram. The Blood Sword sect was high and mighty, and the Fourth Elder's status was revered. He originally looked down on small characters like the Lu family, and now that he was seriously injured, he had a belly full of anger. Of course, he would not be nice to Lu Jiuchong. Lu Jiuchong was scolded until he was embarrassed. He hurriedly squeezed out a smile and said apologetically, Fourth Elder, please calm down. This Lu is loyal to the Blood Sword sect. How can I abandon you? This Lu is just worried. The Fourth Elder said expressionlessly, there is nothing to worry about. This divine tower is strong, but it protects the mysterious light cave and will not attack. As for high-level divine monarchs, if such an expert really made a move, he would have shown himself long ago. Hearing this, Lu Jiuchong was much more at ease. He stared at the divine tower and nodded. That's right. This divine tower's appearance is strange. It is only guarding the mysterious light cave, but no one has appeared. As long as we don't attack it, it doesn't seem to take the initiative to attack. The fourth elder nodded slightly. Don't blindly attack the divine tower anymore. Treat the injured first and meditate to recover. This old man wants to study it properly and see what is going on with this divine tower. Understood. Lu Jiuchong nodded and hurriedly flew to the nearby ruins to treat the Lu family disciples who were on the verge of death. The 8 elite experts also spread out to rescue the injured blood sword sect disciples. The fourth elder sat cross-legged in the air and consumed a divine pill to treat his injuries. He had already made up his mind. After treating his injuries, he would think of a way to deal with the mysterious Black Tower. If possible, he would take the mysterious Black Tower for himself. Chapter 28:55. In fact, the fourth elder was right. The person controlling the divine tower wasn't a high-level divine lord. In fact, he wasn't even a divine lord. Because this divine tower was the Jiutian 10 Absolutes Tower. When the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family attacked the Mystic Light Cave, Ji Tianqing finally arrived. He knew that even if he, Yun Yao, Ji Ku and the others went all out, they wouldn't be able to stop the attacks of the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family. Once the battle started, the Qi family would definitely suffer heavy casualties. He, Yun Yao, Ji Ku and the others weren't a match for the fourth elder, so they would definitely be injured. So, he changed his mind at the last minute. He asked Ji Ku to control the Jiutian 10 Absolutes Tower to cover the entire Mystic Light Cave and keep the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family outside. With the Jiutian 10 Absolutes Tower's defense, even 10 divine lords wouldn't be able to break through. The Mystic Light Cave was safe. Meanwhile, inside the Jiutian 10 Absolutes Tower, Ji Ku was sitting on the Fey God altar in the Origin Divine Array on the 5th level. Her eyes were closed and her hands were forming a seal to control the divine tower. 5-colored divine flames surrounded her body and gave off a mysterious and powerful energy, making her seem unfathomable. On the 1st level of the divine tower, in the dark hall, Yun Yao, Bai Long and the others were saving the Qi family members. When the Mystic Light Cave's defense array was destroyed and the Lu family and the Blood Sword sect attacked, the Qi family members were filled with despair. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianchen, who had sustained heavy injuries, were also prepared to die together with the Blood Sword sect disciples, as if they were facing death calmly. But at that moment, the Jiutian 10 Absolutes Tower fell from the sky. The desperate Qi family members were instantly taken into the divine tower and out of danger. Only then did the Qi family members come back to their senses. They were in an unfamiliar environment and were a little panicked and worried at first. Everyone gathered together, vigilantly guarding their surroundings. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianchen were the backbone of the group, so they were able to remain calm. Under their orders, the Qi family guards, craftsmen and miners gradually calmed down. Then, Ji Tianqing, Yun Yao, and the others appeared. When everyone saw Ji Tianqing's appearance, they were suddenly enlightened. Their hanging hearts were finally at ease. Everyone revealed a joyful expression after surviving a calamity and bowed to Ji Tianqing to express their gratitude. Ji Tianqing comforted everyone with a few words, telling them not to worry and to focus on recuperating. With the protection of the Divine Pagoda, the Profound Light Cave was safe. No matter how strong the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family were, they couldn't invade the Profound Light Cave. However, everyone had to stay in the Divine Pagoda for a while. Ji Tianqing wanted to enter the Profound Light Cave, clean up the collapsed ruins, and rescue the trapped wounded. Only after dealing with this matter would he be able to deal with the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family. Everyone in the Qi clan trusted and respected him, so they naturally had no objections. Hence, Those who were injured stayed on the first level of the divine pagoda to recuperate. The uninjured guards, craftsmen, and miners followed him into the profound light cave. He used the laws of earth and divine abilities and secret techniques to quickly clear up the collapsed ruins. The entrance of the profound light cave was cleared and everyone hurriedly entered the underground mine. Next, Ji Tianqing led everyone in the Qi clan to clean up the 4 collapsed mines. A large amount of earth and rocks were cleared out, and the collapsed mines were cleared up. The wounded and corpses buried in the ruins were also rescued by everyone. In a short hour, the cleaning and rescue work was completed. Originally, according to the Qi clan's estimation, this work would take at least 2 days to complete. However, Ji Tianqing only needed an hour to settle the matter. This was simply an inconceivable miracle. Everyone's respect and worship for Ji Tianqing reached the peak. After everything was ready, Ji Tianqing ordered everyone in the Qi clan to clean up the mines and wrap up the work. He went to the 9th mine alone to investigate the divine crystal vein. The 9th mine was very ordinary and unremarkable. In the 13th year of the city lord's mansion's control of the profound light cave, they had excavated this mine. So far, this mine had been excavated for 57 years. The craftsmen and miners of the city lord's mansion only found 3 ordinary divine crystal veins in this mine. Divine crystal veins were supreme treasures that no one dared to imagine. Not long after the Qi clan took over the profound light cave, Ji Tianqing came to inspect the mines and remove the hidden dangers left by the city lord's mansion. When he inspected the 9th mine, he didn't find anything unusual. But now, as soon as he entered the 9th mine, he sensed an extremely rich divine power aura surging out of the mine. The mine with a radius of 10 miles was filled with extremely rich divine power. Even the air was filled with wisps of 5-colored divine power. Swoosh! Ji Tianqing's figure flashed and flew into the depths of the mine, arriving at a mine with a radius of 10,000 feet. He remembered very clearly that this mine was only 3,000 feet wide and less than 1,000 feet deep. But now, the mine was more than 3 times larger and more than 3,000 feet deep. There were no traces of excavation at the edge of the mine. It was all torn open by violence. Obviously, the people of the city lord's mansion buried a divine light bomb here. After the explosion, not only did the 9th mine collapse, but it also blasted out a large amount of divine crystal ores. Ji Tianqing looked down at the mine and observed with shining eyes. There was a huge divine stone vein in the mine, which was full of rough and ordinary divine stone ores. However, among the countless coarse ores, there were dense multicolored crystals. Seeing this, Ji Tianqing came to a sudden realization. I see. No wonder the people of the city lord's mansion didn't find any divine crystals after excavating for more than 50 years. I didn't expect this mine to be even deeper underground, with a large number of divine crystals wrapped in ordinary ores. Ji Tianqing waved his hand and shot out several beams of divine light, striking at several ordinary ores. Crack! Crack! With a few cracking sounds, 6 basin-sized ores were torn apart. Suddenly, more than a dozen walnut-sized 5-colored divine crystals burst out of the ores and scattered on the ground. Ji Tianqing picked up those divine crystals and used the devouring divine ability to quickly devour the power of the divine crystals. After a while, more than a dozen divine crystals disappeared. The heaven-mending orb left half of its divine power and transferred the other half to him. He was surprised to find that these divine crystals were very pure, and their divine power was incomparably pure. There were almost no impurities, and during the process of devouring and refining, there would be no waste. The Qi family is really lucky. Ji Tianqing murmured and revealed a smile. He didn't waste any more time and hurriedly landed at the bottom of the mine and sat cross-legged on the mine. He began to circulate his energy and use the devouring divine ability. His palms emitted black light, and 2 pitch-black vortexes appeared, pressing on the mine. Swoosh! A powerful devouring power immediately enveloped the mine and crazily absorbed the power of the mine. Whether it was the power of ordinary divine stones or five-colored divine crystals, they were all devoured by his palms and poured into the heaven-mending orb. After being purified by the heaven-mending orb, half of the power entered his body, helping him quickly increase his strength. In a short span of 2 hours, his strength had doubled. Chapter 28:56. Ordinary veins mixed with large amounts of divine crystals were indeed powerful. In the past, Ji Tianqing would need a few hours to double his strength after devouring ordinary veins. Now, it only took him 2 hours to double his strength. Even he himself was surprised and incredulous by such an exaggerated speed of improvement. Time passed quietly, and the devouring continued. With every 2 hours that passed, his strength would increase by 1-fold. Half a day later, his strength had increased by 6 times. But this was only the beginning. He continued to devour, and his strength continued to increase. The divine power contained in the veins was as vast as the sea, as if it was endless. Ji Tianqing was intoxicated by the wonderful feeling of rapidly increasing his strength and forgot about the passage of time. Unknowingly, an entire day passed. His strength had increased by 12 times. If it was an ordinary vein, its strength would definitely be weakened by several times. If the Qi family's craftsmen and mine workers were slightly more attentive, they would be able to detect some clues. However, this vein contained a large amount of divine crystals. After being devoured for an entire day, his strength did not decrease significantly. Previously, he had planned to stabilize at the peak of the heavenly god realm for a while. However, this was a rare and excellent opportunity. If he missed this opportunity, who knew when he would be able to encounter it again? Therefore, he did not care so much. First, he would devour the energy of the vein and increase his strength. Moreover, Lu Jiuchong and the fourth elder of the Blood Sword sect were still outside the divine tower, and they were still guarding it. Every 4 to 6 hours, they would use different methods to probe and attack the divine tower. Ji Tianqing only wanted to increase his strength as soon as possible and become strong enough to deal with them. It had been 2 days since the divine tower descended. On the first floor of the divine tower. After 2 days of rest, the Qi family members' injuries had stabilized. Even Qi Tianqing's injuries had healed greatly. Everyone gathered together and whispered to each other. It's been 2 days. Why is there no movement outside at all? Yeah. It's been 2 days. I wonder if the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family have left. Tianqing hasn't shown up for 2 days. What is he doing? I heard that Tianqing has not come out since he entered the mine. I heard from the guards that the collapsed mine and ruins have long been cleaned up. The injured miners and guards have also been rescued. That's strange. Since the matter in the mine has been resolved, why hasn't Tianqing made a move yet? The people of the Blood Sword sect and the Lu family definitely won't leave so easily. Are we just going to waste time like this? Let's go find the first deacon and second deacon and see what they have to say. Thus, the guards and craftsmen discussed and decided to ask the 2 deacons about the situation. Soon, Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian were surrounded by dozens of guards and craftsmen. Faced with the doubts and questions of the crowd, the 2 brothers were unable to answer and could only try their best to appease them. In the end, they had no choice but to look for Yun Yao and Bai Long. Madam Consecrator, could you please ask Lord Consecrator when we can leave? Master Consecrator is in mine number 9. He ordered that no one is to disturb him. We don't know what Master Consecrator is doing. Now that the guards, craftsmen, and miners are waiting anxiously, it's hard for us to explain. After hearing this, Bai Long turned his head to look at Yun Yao, revealing a trace of an inexplicable smile, and transmitted his voice. Mistress, I told you that these people are troublesome. When Master saved them, they were all grateful and kowtowed to thank him. Now that their lives are no longer in danger, they became suspicious when Master didn't show up for 2 days. Ha ha ha. After all, they're outsiders and don't trust us enough. Yunyao nodded slightly and transmitted her voice. It's just a small matter. Don't worry about it. Jianqing doesn't plan to stay here for long anyway. We're only helping the Qi family because the father and son of the Qi family are good friends, and we're also getting some benefits. To put it simply, Ji Tianqing and Qi Huanji were friends. The relationship with the Qi family was more of a mutually beneficial one. Yunyao looked at Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian and said calmly, please don't be impatient. Just let everyone wait here. Since Tianqing has given the order, just do as he says. You can't do anything to deal with the Blood Sword sect and Lu family, so don't worry. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian were a little embarrassed, but they couldn't refute and could only nod. They couldn't blame others for looking down on them. After all, they were too weak. The only thing they could do now was to appease the Qi family and continue waiting. Outside the Divine Tower. After 2 days of treatment and recuperation, more than 40 black-clad experts were saved. The mysterious black light from the Divine Tower had burned their bodies and damaged their godheads. Now, their physical bodies had been destroyed, and their godheads were severely damaged. Even if they survived, they were no longer qualified to participate in the battle. Only the fourth elder, Lu Zhichong, and 8 elite disciples of the Blood Sword sect still had the strength to fight. The 8 black-clad elites with divine swords were scattered around the Divine Tower, monitoring the entire island. Once someone approached the island, they would be the first to discover it. The fourth elder and Lu Zhichong stood in the sky, staring at the Divine Tower with a serious expression. After a while, the fourth elder was still in deep thought, not saying a word. Lu Zhichong couldn't suppress the anxiety in his heart and asked in a low voice, Fourth elder, it's been 2 days, and we've tried more than 20 methods. However, this Divine Tower is as solid as a tortoise shell, without any flaws. We can't do anything about it. We can't go on like this. In 2 days at most, Qi Tianlong will return to Qingshan City. At that time, he will definitely lead a large number of experts to reinforce the profound light cave. Before he could finish, the fourth elder interrupted him and said in a deep voice, what's there to be afraid of? It's just the Qi family. Even if Qi Tianlong comes, this old man will still kill him. Lu Zhichong choked and didn't say anything else. He finally understood. The Blood Sword sect was determined to get the profound light cave, and they would do anything to get it. At this time, the fourth elder ordered in a deep voice, Lu Zhichong, our way of thinking is wrong. The grade of this Divine Tower should be beyond the monarch grade. It's very likely a king grade artifact. No matter what method we use, it's impossible to break it. King grade artifact. Lu Zhichong's eyes widened in surprise, and a trace of excitement and greed flashed in his eyes. However, he immediately suppressed his greed and didn't dare to show the slightest bit. He was very clear that no matter how tempting a king-grade artifact was, he didn't have the qualifications to touch it. The Blood Sword sect would never let go of this king-grade Divine Tower. Anyone who dared to snatch it would be ruthlessly crushed by the Blood Sword sect. Dispelling the idea, Lu Zhichong lowered his head and asked, Fourth Elder, have you thought of another method? The fourth elder nodded slightly and said, we don't need to pay attention to this Divine Tower. We'll dive into the ground from the edge of the island. Go 100 li underground and then sneak into the profound light cave. We'll definitely succeed. End of chapter. Chapter 2857. Lu Zhichong was startled for a moment, then immediately revealed a look of understanding. Fourth elder is wise. You are absolutely right. Our goal is the profound light cave, not this divine pagoda. Even if the divine pagoda seals the entrance, we can still sneak into the profound light cave from underground. As long as we enter the mine, the Qi family, without the protection of the divine pagoda, will soon be slaughtered by us. Fourth elder pointed at the more than 40 black-clothed experts and ordered, Lu Jiuzhong, you stay here with them. This old man and the 8 elite disciples will sneak into the ground. The more than 40 black-clothed experts had their bodies destroyed, and their godheads were also heavily damaged. Their fighting strength was very weak, and they could only barely make up the numbers. Lu Jiuzhong wanted to refuse. But he thought about it again. He would stay above ground anyway. As long as they didn't attack the divine pagoda, there would be no danger, so he nodded and agreed. This Lu will follow fourth elder's order. I hope you will be victorious. Fourth elder didn't say anything else. He took the 8 elite experts and was about to sneak into the ground. He had already used his divine sense to explore that the divine pagoda released a 5-colored light that covered a radius of 300 miles. As long as they went down 300 miles, they could find a gap or a passage to sneak into the profound light cave. Once they succeeded, they could quickly occupy the profound light cave. And the Qi family could only hide in the divine pagoda, not daring to show themselves. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh whoosh! A burst of 5-colored light flashed. The fourth elder and the 8 elite experts landed in the ruins around the divine pagoda and drilled into the ground. Everyone used the 5 elemental laws to sneak into the depths of the ground without any obstruction. After a short 100 breaths, everyone had gone down 350 miles. This area was filled with indestructible rock layers and scattered god stone veins. The fourth elder and the 8 experts extended their divine senses in all directions, carefully inspecting the situation underground. About 50 miles above their heads, there was a 5-colored barrier of divine light. That was the power of the divine pagoda. It was like a ball of light with a radius of 300 miles, protecting the entire profound light cave. However, many of the veins in the profound light cave were more than 300 miles long. Some veins were even thousands of miles long, extending in all directions. The fourth elder wanted to investigate those mineral veins and look for gaps and crevices in order to sneak into the profound light cave. This was a meticulous job that would take a long time. But the fourth elder was patient enough. Time passed silently. The fourth elder and the 8 elite disciples had been moving in the depths of the underground. They carefully explored every inch of the land, not letting go of any rock or ore. Unknowingly, another day passed. Unfortunately, everyone still came up empty-handed. Meanwhile, Lu Jiuzhong and more than 40 black-clothed experts were meditating in the sky. The 40 or so experts were circulating their energy to treat their wounds, trying to heal their charred bodies. Originally, they had only wanted to leave Profound Light Island and recuperate in seclusion. But without the fourth elder's order, they didn't dare to leave without permission. Even if it was a waste of time, they had to stay on the island and wait. Lu Jiuzhong had nothing to do. Other than resting with his eyes closed, he was waiting for the good news from the fourth elder. In the evening, the sun was setting in the west. Lu Jiuzhong sent a message to the spies of the Lu clan, inquiring about the Qi clan situation. Not long after, he received the news from the spies of the Lu clan. Qi Tianlong is on his way back to Green Mountain City. He will reach Green Mountain City in at most 2 hours. Hearing this news, the corners of Lu Jiuzhong's mouth hooked up into a sneer. When Qi Tianlong reaches home, he will immediately ask about the profound light cave. He will definitely bring a large number of Qi clan experts and rush over at the fastest speed. At that time, the fourth elder will definitely go on a killing spree and kill Qi Tianlong and the Qi clan experts. In this way, the Qi clan will be finished. There will be a good show tonight, ha 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 ha. Lu Jiuzhong muttered to himself, revealing an expectant expression. However, just as he was feeling complacent, the silent divine pagoda suddenly burst out a circle of 5-colored ripples. That was a 5-colored divine flame, spreading out like ripples, sweeping across the sky. Lu Jiuzhong sensed the danger and did not hesitate to teleport 500 miles, retreating to the southern sea. The 40 black-clothed experts reacted slightly slower and their speed was also slower. When they realized that something was wrong and wanted to retreat, it was already too late. Bang bang bang. A series of muffled sounds burst out, reverberating in the sky. More than 40 black-clothed experts were swept by the 5-colored flames, suddenly bursting into sparks and splashing out endless black ashes. In the blink of an eye, their bodies turned into ashes. Even their godhoods had been completely destroyed. They burst into fragments, falling from the sky, reflecting a 5-colored dazzling light. More than 40 people were killed in an instant, not even their bones were left. On the sea 500 miles away. Lu Jiuchong looked at this scene in horror, his forehead dripping with cold sweat. He secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, he was alert enough to escape the island in time. Otherwise, if he was hit by the 5-colored divine flame, even if he did not die, he would be seriously injured. Damn bastard! There was no movement for the past 2 days, but now there is a sudden attack. The person controlling this divine pagoda is too despicable, too insidious. Lu Jiuchong raised his sleeve to wipe the cold sweat on his forehead, cursing with resentment. As soon as his voice fell, a cold voice entered his ears. Bastard, give me your life. A dazzling sword light suddenly fell from the sky, slashing toward Lu Jiuchong. The dazzling golden sword light was more dazzling than the sun. Before the sword light arrived, the terrifying sword intent had already sealed off the area within 500 miles. Lu Jiuchong's heart trembled, and he hurriedly took out a treasure sword, slashing out sword lights that filled the sky. Bang bang bang. More than 35 colored sword lights, carrying the power of the 5 colored laws, slashed toward the giant sword. The sword lights collided, and a deafening explosion erupted. The 5 colored sword lights shattered, but the giant sword's power did not diminish, and it struck Lu Jiuchong. Although he had the divine light protecting him, and at the critical moment, he held the divine sword above his head with both hands. But he was still sent flying. The protective divine light collapsed, and he fell from the sky into the bottom of the sea, splashing up huge waves. Splash! When Lu Jiuchong rushed out of the sea and returned to the sky, his hair was disheveled, his face was pale, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. He looked in front of him with resentment, locking onto the white figure in the sky. He saw that it was an 8-foot-tall, handsome young man in a white robe with black hair. His hands were behind his back, and his expression was arrogant. His entire body was filled with an invisible domineering aura. Seeing his face, Lu Jiuchong's eyes narrowed, and he exclaimed, "The Qi family's consecrator. It's actually you." Lu Jiuchong did not expect it. The person who attacked him and injured him with one move was actually the Qi family's consecrator. He clearly remembered that the Qi family's consecrator only had the strength of a heavenly god at the martial arts competition 20 days ago. And now, the other party's strength had obviously increased by dozens of times. Chapter 28:58. Even if he saw it with his own eyes, Lu Jiuchong also found it hard to believe. He could not see through Ji Tianqing's strength realm. But he was very certain that Ji Tianqing was absolutely a divine lord powerhouse. Furthermore, it was very likely that he was a middle-stage divine lord. Boy, you. How did you do it? Lu Jiuchong stared at Ji Tianqing with a chest full of shock and asked in a solemn voice. Ji Tianqing looked at him expressionlessly and said with a cold smile, "Since you're terrified, don't make any more pointless struggles. Kneel down and accept death." As he said, he released an invisible divine might, sweeping over toward Lu Jiuchong. Immediately, Lu Jiuchong was suppressed until his complexion turned pale. A trace of fear welled up in his heart. Even though Ji Tianqing had yet to break through to the divine lord realm. But he devoured the divine crystal mineral vein's power for 3 days and 3 nights. Presently, his strength already reached 36 times of peak celestial deity. This was a realm that any celestial deity found hard to imagine. Even Lu Jiuchong was shocked too, confirming that he was a middle-stage divine lord. "Boy, don't be arrogant." Lu Jiuzhong gripped his divine sword tightly and said coldly in a threatening manner, "Even if this seat can't beat you, that senior can also kill you easily. Do you think that you helping the Qi family seize the profound light cave is a gargantuan merit? Too foolish. You brought a calamity to the Qi family." Ji Tianqing smiled coldly and said, "Looks like you're already dead set on being a lackey for the blood sword sect. That white-haired old man is the blood sword sect's fourth elder, right?" Lu Jiuzhong was stunned for a bit and thought to himself, "This bastard, not only did he recognize this seat, he even knows the fourth elder's identity. Could it be that he's the Divine Tower's owner? Previously, he hid inside the Divine Tower and secretly eavesdropped on our conversation." Thinking up to here, Lu Jiuzhong's two eyes surged with a brilliant light, his gaze becoming scorching and greedy. "Boy, this Divine Tower is yours." His gaze stared at Ji Tianqing with a scorching gaze and asked in a solemn voice. Ji Tianqing frowned slightly and said, "What do you want?" "Ha ha ha." Lu Jiuzhong suddenly raised his head and laughed loudly. He sighed emotionally as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. "Before this, I was worried that the person who had such a divine weapon was most likely a high divine lord. I didn't expect it to be you, you little bastard. Since that's the case, as long as I kill you, the divine pagoda will belong to me." The temptation of the divine pagoda dispelled Lu Jiuzhong's doubts and fears, and his heart burned with passion. Ji Tianqing's face was full of disdain as he shouted coldly, "Reckless fool." As soon as he finished speaking, he formed a divine art with both hands and activated all of his power to perform a supreme sword technique. Daylight Sword. With a cold shout, a blazing white halo flickered in the sky and disappeared. Lu Jiuzhong sensed the danger and immediately teleported away. Shua. His figure flashed and crossed 250 kilometers, appearing in the east of Profound Light Island. However, as soon as he steadied himself, a dazzling white light bloomed in front of him, bursting forth with destructive sword chi. Boom! A blazing white halo exploded in front of his chest, and a blazing white mushroom cloud rose. The white light covered the sky and covered 1,000 miles, so blinding that people couldn't open their eyes. Lu Jiuzhong's protective divine light directly collapsed, and his black robe was also twisted into countless cloth strips, and a large cloud of blood spurted out of his chest. He was caught off guard and was seriously injured by the daylight sword. Not only was there a washbasin-sized bloody hole in his chest, but his internal organs were also blown to pieces, and blood gushed out wildly. Ah! The heart-wrenching pain made Lu Jiuzhong let out a shrill scream. The violent impact sent him flying, and he landed on the surface of the sea 100 miles away. In just one move, Lu Jiuzhong was seriously injured, and his body was on the verge of collapse. Ji Tianqing did not spare him, and took advantage of the victory to pursue. Shua! With a flash of light, he teleported to Lu Jiuzhong's side, holding the Burial of Heaven sword and slashing down fiercely. Sky-splitting sword. 1,000 feet long 5-colored sword light, carrying the power of 18 types of laws, drowned Lu Jiuzhong's figure. The world within a 3,000-mile radius was enveloped by divine light and sword chi, and it was dazzling. Lu Jiuzhong watched as the sword light fell, but he was suppressed to the point where he could not dodge, and his heart was filled with fear and despair. Kaboom! Another loud explosion rang out, shaking the universe. Lu Jiuzhong was hit by the giant sword, and he exploded into pieces on the spot, splashing out a cloud of blood. Even though his divine body had been tempered thousands of times and was extremely tough. Even though he was a divine lord elite who had mastered more than a dozen divine Dao laws. All of this was useless in the face of the tyrannical heaven-splitting sword. He was so weak that he could not withstand a single blow, and he was killed instantly. Tens of thousands of pieces of flesh fell from the sky into the sea. Even his godhead was injured by the giant sword, and a few cracks appeared on it. As a result, his consciousness was hazy. He could not even control his godhead, let alone counterattack or escape. The godhead fell from the sky, flashing with five-colored divine light, and fell into the sea. Then, Ji Tianqing caught up again and slashed with his sword. Swish! The five-colored sword light shone and slashed at Lu Jiuchong's godhead again. Lu Jiuchong finally woke up. Seeing the sword light slashing at him, he was scared out of his wits, and an extreme desire to live burst out. He unleashed his divine power without holding back, forming a giant five-colored light shield to protect his godhead. Kaboom! The sword light slashed down and shattered the light shield. Lu Jiuchong's godhead was thrown away, and a few more cracks appeared on it, and his injuries became even more miserable. He was completely terrified, and he ran towards the south without caring about anything else. Swish! The godhead lit up with a bright divine light, dragging a long five-colored flame behind it as it streaked across the sky like a shooting star. He was still praying silently when he flew over Xuanguan Island. He hoped that the fourth elder would notice something and save him in time. Otherwise, he would not be able to escape Ji Tianqing's pursuit and would definitely die. At this moment, the fourth elder, who had been exploring underground, finally found something strange on the island. He immediately stopped searching and left the underground as fast as he could, flying over the island. Swish! A white light flashed and the fourth elder appeared in the sky. He saw the situation at a glance. Lu Jiuchong's godhead was flying over the island. 100 miles behind him, Ji Tianqing was chasing him with a sword. Seeing this, the fourth elder's eyes narrowed and flashed with murderous intent. Die, bastard! The fourth elder's voice was as loud as a bell. He raised both of his palms and punched towards Ji Tianqing. Seeing the fourth elder stop him, Lu Jiuchong was relieved and full of joy. He didn't dare to expect the fourth elder to be able to hurt Ji Tianqing. He only hoped that the fourth elder could stall Ji Tianqing so that he could have a chance to escape. However, Lu Jiuchong was destined to be happy for nothing. Ji Tianqing ignored the two giant palms of the fourth elder and moved 200 miles in an instant, appearing in front of Lu Jiuchong. The golden sword light rose again and slashed down with full force. Lu Jiuchong was caught off guard and crashed into it. Kaboom! There was a loud and clear explosion. Lu Jiuchong's godhead was shattered by the sword light on the spot, and 12 pieces splashed out and fell on the sea. At this point, Lu Jiuchong had completely died. Chapter 28:59. Even though Ji Tianqing had teleported 200 li. However, the fourth elder's two palm shadows also crossed a distance of 200 miles and hit him with a loud bang. Bang! Bang! With a muffled sound, Ji Tianqing was sent flying. He retreated 50 miles before he managed to neutralize the impact and stopped in the sky. At this time, the setting sun sank below the sea level, and the world became dark. Ji Tianqing and the fourth elder were 100 li apart, facing each other in the sky above the sea. The 8 elite disciples of the Blood Sword sect also spread out, forming a half-moon formation and surrounding Ji Tianqing. Both sides were seething with killing intent. The atmosphere was extremely solemn. Only the sound of wind and waves could be heard. The fourth elder coldly stared at Ji Tianqing and said, "You are the Qi family's consecrator." "You already know," Ji Tianqing said expressionlessly. The fourth elder's voice was even colder. "Brat, you are very arrogant. But you are very stupid. With your strength and talent, you shouldn't have relied on the Qi family, let alone offend our sect." Ji Tianqing sneered. "From the moment I heard about the Blood Sword sect, everyone told me that the Blood Sword sect is one of the 6 great sects of the divine nation and is extremely powerful. But I didn't expect that the Blood Sword sect would covet a mere profound light cave so much that they would do anything to seize it. From this, it can be seen that the Blood Sword sect is only a so-so." The fourth elder was a bit angry. He frowned and shouted, "What do you know? How can you guess the value and significance of the Profound Light Cave? Moreover, the Profound Light Cave is not the only place our sect wants to control. Ji Tianqing thought for a moment, then nodded and said, indeed. A sinister and vicious evil sect like the Blood Sword sect would naturally plunder resources and treasures everywhere in order to maintain its power. But I'm very curious. For the past 70 years, the City Lord's mansion has been controlling the Profound Light Cave. Even the City Lord's mansion didn't know about the astonishing wealth hidden in the Profound Light Cave. How could the Blood Sword sect know about it? The fourth elder was silent for a while before he sneered. Brat, do you really want to know? Ji Tianqing didn't say anything, which could be considered a tacit agreement. The fourth elder's smile became even more playful. All right, this old man will give you a chance. As long as you leave the Qi clan and join our sect, this old man will tell you the answer. Ji Tianqing sneered disdainfully. Ha ha ha. I disdain to associate myself with the beasts of the Blood Sword sect. The fourth elder was furious. His face was ashen and his eyes were spitting fire. Ji Tianqing continued, actually, you don't have to say much. I can guess it. It was most likely an expert of the Blood Sword sect who accidentally discovered the secret of the Profound Light Cave. However, the Profound Light Cave belonged to the City Lord's mansion. The City Lord's mansion was also a noble conferred by the theocracy, the City Lord. Even if the Blood Sword sect was powerful enough to crush the City Lord's mansion, the Blood Sword sect would still be able to do so. However, due to the divine nation's laws and face, the Blood Sword sect couldn't openly deal with the City Lord's mansion. You can only endure and wait for the martial arts tournament that is held once every 10 years. Then, they will use the names of other aristocratic families to seize the Profound Light Cave in a dignified manner. Ji Tianqing spoke with fervor and assurance, his words clear and organized. The fourth elder frowned as a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. Clearly, Ji Tianqing's guess was correct. However, the fourth elder remained silent and didn't refute. Ji Tianqing continued, originally, your target was the Qi family. You wanted to seize the Profound Light Cave in the name of the Qi family and make the Qi family a puppet of the Blood Sword sect. However, you didn't expect that I would suddenly appear and spoil your plans. Even if you chose the Lu family and seized the Profound Light Cave in the name of the Lu family, I still ruined it. Therefore, you flew into a rage out of humiliation and wanted to destroy the Qi family at all costs. After he finished speaking, the fourth elder couldn't help but applaud and praise, wonderful. Kid, your intelligence and wisdom have made this old man have a whole new level of respect for you. A genius like you shouldn't waste your time in a small place like Qingshan City. This old man sincerely advises you not to waste your talent here and choose another master. After saying this, the fourth elder added, of course, this old man knows that you don't want to join the Blood Sword sect. However, the Blood Sword sect can recommend you to a wise master with great talent and foresight. Under that master's command, your talent will definitely be displayed. Ji Tianqing's lips curled into a playful smile as he said, if I'm not wrong, the master you speak of should be the backer of the Blood Sword sect. In the Blood Flame Divine Kingdom, someone who can be the backer of the Blood Sword sect, I think it's only someone from the Divine Kingdom's royal family, right? The fourth elder's eyes lit up and he was even more shocked. This matter was confidential and only the upper echelons of the Blood Sword sect knew about it. For Ji Tianqing to be able to deduce the answer was truly unbelievable. The fourth elder didn't answer directly and instead said in a dignified tone, Kid, since you already know the answer in your heart, this old man doesn't need to say more. You're a smart person and should know how to choose in order to benefit your future. Ji Tianqing nodded and said, that's right. Of course, I know how to choose. If I do as you say and join that royal family's noble, I'll be able to do it. With my talent and methods, I'll definitely be able to shine brightly and overturn the rain and clouds. In just a few years, I'll be able to run amok in the Blood Flame Divine Kingdom and have great power. Hearing this, the fourth elder couldn't help but nod and reveal a gratified smile. Very good. You're really sensible. He thought that Ji Tianqing would agree. Unexpectedly, Ji Tianqing shook his head and said indifferently, "It's a pity that a mere blood-flame divine kingdom isn't worth my time and effort. The blood-flame divine kingdom and even the entire Great Yan Empire are just a small place in my eyes. Playing politics here is the real waste of time." Hearing this, the fourth elder's eyes widened in anger. He was both shocked and furious. The 8 elite disciples were also somewhat stunned and glared at Ji Tianqing. "Little bastard, how dare you be so arrogant?" The fourth elder came back to his senses and roared like thunder. Ji Tianqing laughed loudly and said, "A summer insect can't talk about ice. How can a frog at the bottom of a well know the wind and clouds outside the sky? Fourth elder, this seat will send you on your way." Ji Tianqing formed a sword seal with his left hand and waved the sword of burial of heaven with his right hand. Sword light covered the sky. Swoosh! 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 Sword chi swept across 3,000 miles. Moon beyond the sky sinks into the sea. In that instant, the dazzling sword light illuminated the 3,000 miles of sky and sea, revealing every single detail. The fourth elder and the 8 elite disciples were shocked and tried their best to fight. The two sides engaged in a fierce battle above the sea. The sky was filled with sword light and saber shadows clashed, creating a loud explosion. The brilliance of divine spells that blotted out the sky and the sun intertwined with each other, blooming into the most gorgeous fireworks. Bam! 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 Boom! Boom! The loud sound reverberated, and divine power surged. Huge waves rolled up in a few thousand miles of sea, creating thunderous tsunamis. This battle was 10 times more intense than when Ji Tianqing killed Lu Jiuchong. The fourth elder was a middle-level divine lord and an old monster who had cultivated for almost 10,000 years. He was extremely powerful and had a deep foundation. Ji Tianqing could only go all out and use all kinds of trump cards to be on par with him. Chapter 2860. A quarter of an hour passed. Ji Tianqing, the fourth elder, and the others had exchanged thousands of blows. The two sides were far away from Darklight Island, and the battlefield had shifted 20,000 miles to the east. The light and shadows of divine arts blotted out the sky, and the deafening explosions echoed in the sky. The violent and devastating shockwaves stirred up huge waves on the surface of the ocean for thousands of miles. The divine power of heaven and earth near the battlefield became abnormally violent and chaotic, and it was filled with dozens of laws. Ji Tianqing was fighting 1 against 9 and was surrounded. He had been in a perilous situation since the beginning of the battle. He could only use all his strength and use the celestial dragon tyrant body to erupt his power to the extreme. He used all kinds of divine arts, secret arts, and sword Dao techniques one after another without holding back. Because of this, his situation finally changed. 3 elite experts had been killed by him one after another, and there were no corpses left. 2 other experts were also seriously injured by him. They turned a blind eye to their injuries and continued to attack him fiercely. 10,000 swords return. When the fourth elder and the 5 experts attacked again, Ji Tianqing used his ultimate sword technique. Swish! 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 The burial of heaven swung and scattered thousands of sword lights, covering 3,000 miles of heaven and earth. Each 5-colored sword light contained 9 types of power of laws. The thousands of sword lights sealed the world, and the crisscrossing stabs swept out like a sword storm. Poof! Boom! A series of muffled sounds came out, and a large amount of blood splattered. The 2 seriously injured elite experts were killed on the spot by the sword lights and turned into a rain of blood. The remaining 3 experts were also enveloped by the sword lights, and their bodies were covered in wounds. In the blink of an eye, they were also seriously injured, and they cried out in pain and misery. Only the fourth elder reacted the fastest. He retreated to the edge in time and resisted the sword lights with all his strength. 3 breaths later, the 10,000 rays of sword light suddenly converged and condensed into 9 giant swords. They emitted 7-colored divine light and carried supreme divine might as they slashed down with a loud bang. Only one of the 7-colored giant swords attacked the fourth elder. The other 6 giant swords slashed at the 3 elite experts. Ji Tianqing's goal was very clear. He would deal with the remaining 3 experts first, and then deal with the fourth elder. Not only did the 3 experts see through it, the fourth elder also saw it clearly. However, he was powerless to stop it. Facing the 7-colored giant sword that was slashing down on his head, he could only use his divine ability to block it with all his might. Boom! 2 gigantic blood-red palms that seemed capable of capturing the heavens and the moon clamped down on the 7-colored sword with a loud bang. Both sides were in a deadlock for an instant before they collapsed at the same time, and they exploded into a myriad of fragments of divine light. On the other side, 6 7-colored giant swords, carrying the divine might of 27 laws, engulfed the figures of the 3 experts. Pang pang pang. An earth-shattering explosion erupted, shaking the heavens. A destructive shockwave wrapped in countless fragments of divine light spread out in all directions. It was like a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering 7-colored torrent that swept across a radius of 8,000 miles. After the divine light dissipated, the 3 experts disappeared without a trace. Their divine bodies were destroyed by the giant swords and turned into ashes. The Godhead was also destroyed, and its fragments fell into the sea. So far, the 8 elite disciples brought by the fourth elder had all died under Ji Tianqing's sword. After the storm passed, the fourth elder glared at Ji Tianqing with bloodshot eyes, so furious that he was about to explode. Little bastard! You actually killed the 8 disciples that I was most proud of. I swear that I will not coexist with you. Are you determined to become enemies with my sect? The 2 had exchanged several thousand blows, and the fourth elder had a sufficient understanding of Ji Tianqing's strength and methods. He was well aware that Ji Tianqing's strength was inferior to his. However, Ji Tianqing had grasped more divine Tao laws and cultivated more powerful divine abilities. The 2's true strength was on par, and it was hard to say who would emerge victorious. If there was still room for negotiation, the fourth elder didn't want to fight to the death with the other party. That would definitely result in both sides suffering great losses. Ji Tianqing could naturally see that the fourth elder was somewhat lacking in confidence. He said with an indifferent expression, "It's not that I want to become enemies with the Blood Sword sect, but that the Blood Sword sect is being overbearing in seeking death. I'll give you a chance to live. Send a message to the Blood Sword sect and tell them to give up on the profound light cave and stop their persecution of the Qi family." Before Ji Tianqing could finish, the fourth elder's expression changed, and his eyes spat out thick flames of anger. "Shut up! Who do you think you are? How dare you threaten our sect? In my sect's eyes, you're nothing but an ant." Ji Tianqing looked at him expressionlessly and said with a cold voice, "Since that's the case, there's nothing to talk about. I gave you a chance to say your last words, but unfortunately, you've already used it." As his voice fell, Ji Tianqing's 100-meter-tall body blossomed with a dazzling golden light that was as bright as the sun, bursting forth with unparalleled divine might. He held the 80-meter-long sword of burial of heaven with both hands and brazenly stabbed out with the god-slaying sword. Whoosh! The golden sword light tore through the sky and instantly arrived in front of the fourth elder. The fourth elder immediately raised his palms and urged the power of 8 kinds of laws to shoot out 2 dazzling balls of 7-colored divine light. The majestic power of the divine Tao laws was condensed into 2 balls of light that were 10,000 meters wide. When the power was condensed to the extreme, it was 10 times harder than any divine metal. Inside the balls of light, layers of seven-colored divine light surged like waves, creating a spectacular sight. Boom! Crack! The two balls of light struck the giant golden sword with a loud bang that shook the heavens and the earth. Suddenly, the balls of light exploded, and the giant golden sword was also shattered. The fourth elder used his full strength to block Ji Tianqing's assassination. However, Ji Tianqing was not affected at all. After the sword of burial of heaven was forced back 10 miles, it changed its move and slashed down again. Sword of burial of heaven. The giant sword became as black as ink and burst out with a mysterious black light. It carried with it an icy aura of death as it slashed toward the fourth elder's head. The fourth elder was shocked and hurriedly took out a blood-colored giant sword to block above his head. Clang! Amidst the earth-shattering noise, the sword of burial of heaven struck the blood-colored giant sword. Divine light burst out, and energy overflowed, creating huge waves on the surface of the sea. The fourth elder was not injured. He was only forced back 100 miles. Swoosh! At this moment, Ji Tianqing teleported again and appeared beside the fourth elder. He held the sword with both hands and slashed down again with full strength. Heavenly Dragon Slash. The 1,000-meter-long crescent-shaped sword light carried with it 5-colored divine light and lightning flames as it charged toward the fourth elder. The fourth elder was overwhelmed and had no time to dodge. He could only hold the blood-colored giant sword and face the attack with all his might. Clang! Another crisp sound of metal exploding rang out, tearing the sky apart. The fourth elder was sent flying again. His hands trembled uncontrollably, and the web between his thumb and forefinger cracked open, blood flowing out. The blood-colored giant sword trembled violently and let out a sorrowful cry. Violent 5-colored lightning and flames enveloped his body, instantly burning his white hair and robe. Black smoke came out of his body, and he screamed in pain. Ji Tianqing was not going to let him go. He swung his sword with all his might. He used the dragon elephant divine fist with his left hand and the sword of Tong Tian with his right. The fourth elder was in an even more dangerous situation. If he was not careful, he would die on the spot. End of chapter. Chapter 2861. Bam! Although the fourth elder had neutralized the dragon elephant divine fist, he couldn't block the sword of heaven. With a muffled sound, he was stabbed by the sword of heaven and flew back while vomiting blood. After exchanging thousands of blows with Ji Tianqing, he couldn't hold on any longer and was finally injured. Not only were his internal organs damaged, but the bronze mask on his face was also blown off and fell into the sea. His old face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Blood kept flowing out of his nose and mouth, and his eyes were dim. Even his aura had weakened a lot. On the other hand, Ji Tianqing's aura was even stronger and more domineering. He was like the sun hanging high in the sky, swallowing the sky and the sea. He held the sword with both hands and attacked fiercely. Broken moon. Shattering sun. Rising sword. All kinds of sword Dao techniques were used, and sword radiances covered the sky. The sharp sword qi sealed off the area within a radius of 3,000 miles and suppressed the fourth elder. He was forced to retreat again and again. He was exhausted from defending against Ji Tianqing's fierce attacks and appeared to be flustered. As time passed, more and more wounds appeared on the fourth elder's body, and his injuries became more and more serious. Finally, when he was forced to retreat 300 miles and Ji Tianqing had used 800 sword techniques. The 100,000 strands of sword qi that filled the heavens and the earth suddenly condensed into a formation that emitted dazzling divine light. Swoosh! A mysterious sword formation with a radius of 1,000 miles suddenly appeared between the sea and the sky. Ji Tianqing and the fourth elder were both in this sword array. However, under the power of the sword array, the two of them were in completely different situations. Ji Tianqing was like a fish in water and a tiger with wings. Not only did he have an endless supply of divine power, but his aura also increased tenfold. On the other hand, the fourth elder was not only suppressed by the power of the sword array, but his strength was also greatly weakened. Even his movements became sluggish and his divine power couldn't be used smoothly. The balance between the two sides was broken. Ji Tianqing's battle intent and strength far exceeded the fourth elder's. It was an overwhelming advantage. Whoosh! Whoosh! Thousands of five-colored sword lights rained down like a rain of arrows, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. The fourth elder's figure was instantly submerged. He roared like a madman as he waved his blood-red sword madly to block the sword light that filled the sky. A series of muffled noises rang out as countless sword lights were shattered, exploding into dense multicolored fragments. Even though he had successfully defeated over 1,000 sword lights. However, after the sword light dissipated, there were more than a dozen wounds on his body. They were so deep that his bones could be seen, and blood was flowing from them. Before he could even catch his breath, thousands of sword lights attacked him from all directions, crazily trying to strangle him. The fourth elder's figure was submerged once again. He tried his best to resist and used all of his divine abilities, but he finally managed to block the attack of the sword light. But he also paid a heavy price for it. More than 30 wounds were added to his body, each about a foot long and deep into his bones. There was not a single piece of intact flesh on his chest, back, or limbs. His clothes and white hair were torn to shreds, and he was completely covered in blood. The most frightening thing was that he didn't even have a chance to catch his breath before the endless sword light attacked him again. Being in the sword formation, he would be attacked by tens of thousands of swords at any moment, and there would be no end to this. Bastard! You despicable be *****. Do you only know how to use such schemes and tricks? Why don't you dare to fight me head-on? In his fury, the fourth elder roared at the top of his lungs. He was surrounded by endless sword lights, and he couldn't even see Ji Tianqing's shadow before he was torn to shreds, leaving behind only a skeleton. In the past, he had thought that his divine lord body had been tempered thousands of times, after all. Swords, spears, swords, and halberds, divine lightning, and heavenly fire could not hurt him at all. But now, a mere sword formation had sliced off his flesh. He estimated that in at most an hour, his skeleton would be shredded to pieces. At that time, he would only be left with a godhood. Even if he had cultivated hard for 10,000 years and painstakingly accumulated 33 laws, he would die on the spot. If he had died at the hands of a high-level divine lord or a well-known expert, it would have been a consolation. But he had lost to a third-rate family's consecrator. If this matter were to spread, it would definitely be a great humiliation. Thinking of this, the fourth elder couldn't hold back his anger and grievance, and immediately roared. Whoosh! There was a flash of light. The sword lights that had surrounded the fourth elder scattered in all directions. When his vision cleared up, he saw that Ji Tianqing was looking at him with an indifferent expression not far away. Little bastard! If you have the guts, remove the formation and fight me to the death. The fourth elder cursed as he secretly circulated his energy to treat his injuries. Ji Tianqing saw through his actions, but he didn't bother to stop him. He said indifferently, I cultivate the sword Tao, and not only am I proficient in sword techniques, but also sword formations. This is a simple heaven-vanquishing sword formation that I created myself. You'll be a good test of its power. The fourth elder was so angry that his body trembled. He roared in a hoarse voice, You bastard! The Blood Sword Sect will never let you go. Soon, you will be wanted by the Blood Sword Sect, and you are destined to be reduced to ashes. Ji Tianqing couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. He continued to control the sword formation, releasing tens of thousands of sword lights to attack the fourth elder. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Bang 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 bang. The sword lights continued to crisscross, and muffled sounds could be heard. Amidst the chaos, there were also occasional screams. An hour passed unknowingly. After the sword lights dissipated, the fourth elder also disappeared. There was no doubt. After an hour of suppression and killing, he had long been reduced to ashes. Not only did his flesh dissipate, but his bones also turned to dust. Fortunately, he had the blood-colored giant sword and a dozen monarch-grade divine artifacts to hold on for so long. If not for those divine artifacts blocking the sword lights, he would have been killed long ago. Whoosh! A diamond-shaped godhead flashing with 5 colored lights silently flew across the sky toward the corner of the sword formation. Although the fourth elder's divine body was destroyed, his godhead was still intact. However, his godhead still existed, and he didn't die. As long as the godhead could escape Ji Tianqing's pursuit, he still had a chance to recover. Boom! With a muffled sound, the godhead dragged a long 5-colored flame tail as it slammed into the edge of the heaven-vanquishing sword formation. The multicolored light shield trembled violently from the impact and flashed with divine light. However, the divine light barrier didn't shatter and was still intact. On the other hand, the fourth elder's godhead was violently shaken, and he felt a little dizzy. He quickly regained his senses and accelerated toward the divine light barrier. However, this time, Ji Tianqing was already prepared. Draconic Elephant Divine Fist. Ji Tianqing waved his left hand, and a mountain-sized draconic elephant image slammed into the fourth elder's godhead. Boom! The godhead was sent flying, and several cracks appeared on its surface. Sword piercing the 9 heavens. Ji Tianqing teleported and chased after the fourth elder, swinging his sword. Crack! With a crisp cracking sound, the fourth elder's godhead was shattered by the burial of heaven, and 5-colored light filled the sky. The 14 fragments of the godhead were also wrapped in energy and scattered in all directions. The fourth elder of the blood sword sect, an intermediate divine lord, had been killed by Ji Tianqing. Chapter 2862. The battle was over. Ji Tianqing also took the fourth elder's 14 quintessence fragments. He waved his hand, dispelled the heaven-eradicating sword formation, and flew back to Profound Light Island. On the way, he spread his divine sense to search for the quintessence fragments of the blood sword sect's elite disciples. When he returned to Profound Light Island, he searched for Lu Jiucheng's quintessence fragments. An hour later. When he returned to Profound Light Island, he found many more quintessence fragments of the black-clothed experts in the ruins. Although these black-clothed experts were all disciples of the Lu family and a small number of blood sword sect disciples. These people were all between the 3rd and 6th level of the celestial god realm. Not only did their quintessence fragments contain very little divine power, but they also had very few divine Tao laws. Even so, Ji Tianqing didn't mind. No matter how small a mosquito's leg was, it was still meat. Whoosh! In a flash, Ji Tianqing returned to the 9 Heavens 10 Absolutes Tower and appeared on the demon god altar. At this time, he had stored more than 600 quintessence fragments in his spatial ring. Ji Ku was still sitting cross-legged in the origin divine formation, his divine sense connected to the entire tower as he guarded Profound Light Cave. Ji Tianqing walked to her side and used his divine sense to wake her up. Cuckoo, the blood sword sect and Lu family's people have been dealt with. You can rest now. Ji Ku seemed relieved of a great burden as he slowly withdrew his energy and opened his eyes. She looked a little tired and her eyes were a little dim. Although she had a smile on her face, she couldn't hide the fatigue in her mind. After all, this was the first time she had used the tower to fight. With her strength, it was still a little difficult for her to use this king-grade tower. It was extremely taxing on her mind. Big brother Tianqing, has the crisis been resolved? That divine lord expert of the blood sword sect was also killed by you. Ji Ku looked at Ji Tianqing expectantly. Ji Tianqing nodded and said with a smile, yes, I killed them all. That's great. Ji Ku was suddenly filled with surprise and excitement. The way I see it, that Blood Sword Sect Elder is at least a 4th level Divine Lord. You haven't broken through to the Divine Lord realm and you're able to kill him. This is simply a miracle. Ji Tianqing held her hands and said with a sincere tone, "This is all thanks to your help. You guarded the profound light cave and blocked them outside, buying me 3 days of time. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have been a match for the Blood Sword Sect's Elder. Alright, you've been working so hard for so long. You must be mentally exhausted. Go and rest." "Alright." Ji Ku nodded and said, "Then I'll go back to the space-time distortion. I'll leave the Divine Pagoda to you." After saying this, she passed through the Origin Divine Formation and entered the distorted spacetime to meditate. Ji Tianqing took over the control of the Divine Pagoda and sent the Qi clan members to the entrance of the mine. Then, he kept the Divine Pagoda. Shwa! Light and shadow flashed. The 3,000 feet tall Divine Pagoda rapidly shrunk and drilled into Ji Tianqing's body, leaving the mark of a small black pagoda on his left arm. Without the protection of the Divine Pagoda, the profound light cave was exposed to the night. Several hundred Qi clan guards, craftsmen, and miners stood in the ruins, looking around in confusion. Cries of alarm and discussion came from the crowd. "It's been 3 days. Is it finally over? Where are the Blood Sword Sect and the Lu clan? The Divine Pagoda is also gone. Are we all safe? Those bastards of the Blood Sword Sect and the Lu clan must have been driven away by the Reverend. This is too inconceivable. The Reverend actually turned the tide and resolved the crisis on his own. The Blood Sword Sect and the Lu clan had disappeared, and the Divine Pagoda had also been put away. This made the Qi clan members realize that the crisis had been resolved. The profound light cave was safe. Everyone's spirits were lifted and their emotions were stirred. At this moment, Ji Tianqing descended from the sky and arrived above them. Qi Tianqing, Qi Tianqian, and the Qi clan members bowed when they saw him arrive. "Thank you, Reverend, for saving us. The Reverend is mighty." Everyone shouted in unison, and the sound waves caused the ground to tremble. Ji Tianqing raised his hands and gestured for everyone to be quiet. "Everyone, the invaders of the Blood Sword Sect and the Lu clan have all been killed by me. Not a single one is left alive. The profound light cave is now safe. Everyone, clean up the ruins and rebuild the workshops and residences as soon as possible. The reconstruction work will be overseen by the 2 reverends." Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian hurriedly bowed and said yes. Then, the 2 gathered the captains of the guards, craftsmen, and miners and assigned them tasks. Not long after, hundreds of people began to perform their duties and threw themselves into the reconstruction work. A portion of them entered the mines and cleaned up the tunnels. More people stayed on the surface to clean up the ruins near the entrance, rebuild the workshops, and repair the collapsed houses. All the work was carried out in an orderly manner. Ji Tianqing entered the 9th mine and devoured the divine crystal vein. The amount of divine crystals in that lode had exceeded his expectations. Even though he had been devouring for 3 days and 3 nights, the power of the mine had not decreased. Even though his strength had been strengthened 36 times. He would continue to strengthen until he reached the limit of the heavenly God realm and then break through to the divine sovereign realm. In that case, his strength would be even more powerful, and his future achievements would be even more terrifying. Time passed silently. Unknowingly, it was the wee hours of the morning. Ji Tianqing's strength had increased to 40 times that of a peak heavenly god. At this moment, a dazzling 5-colored stream of light sped over from the southern night sky, heading straight for the profound light island. When the stream of light got closer, it could be seen clearly. There were hundreds of figures in the stream of light that was thousands of feet long. The leader was Qi Tianlong, who wore golden armor and had a divine sword at his waist. The hundreds of guards behind him were also the elites of the Qi clan. These guards were all in the 3rd to 5th level of the heavenly god realm. They wore armor and carried blades, and they were filled with killing intent. Everyone streaked across the night sky at their fastest speed and landed on the Profound Light Island. As soon as he stepped on the Profound Light Island, Qi Tianlong slowed down. Even though he was travel-worn and exhausted, he did not dare to let his guard down. He held the divine sword in his hand and carefully rushed to the Profound Light Cave. The hundreds of Qi clan guards were also on high alert as if they were facing a great enemy. Obviously, Qi Tianlong had just rushed back to Qingshan City from Tianfeng City. As soon as he returned to the Qi clan, he learned that something had happened to the Profound Light Cave. He did not have time to rest. He hurriedly led the hundreds of elite guards and rushed to the Profound Light Cave at his fastest speed. On the way, he kept praying that the Profound Light Cave had not fallen and that he could make it in time. Now that he had finally landed on the Profound Light Island, his heart was in his throat. That kind of feeling was like a prisoner waiting to be sentenced. Whether he was dead or alive would be revealed soon. Swoosh! Qi Tianlong saw that the island was very quiet, so he sped up and flew across the night sky, arriving above the entrance of the Profound Light Cave. When he heard the noise and saw the bustling scene, he was stunned on the spot. Chapter 2863. Before arriving at the Profound Light Cave, Qi Tianlong had many guesses. Perhaps, a sea of enemies had surrounded the Profound Light Cave so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. The Qi family was forced to hide in the Profound Light Cave, refusing to surrender and fighting to the death. Or, countless strong enemies were attacking the Profound Light Cave. The Qi family was fighting a bloody battle and suffered heavy casualties. Even more tragic was that the strong enemies had already entered the Profound Light Cave and were slaughtering the Qi family. Then he led a large number of elite guards to the Profound Light Cave in time and turned the tide through a fierce battle. Or, the enemy had occupied the Profound Light Cave. In order to preserve their strength, the Qi family was captured by the strong enemies and was suffering humiliation and pain. All in all, Qi Tianlong had imagined several outcomes. But he didn't expect the scene in front of him to be like this. Hundreds of guards, craftsmen, and miners were busy cleaning up the ruins and rebuilding the houses and workshops. Everyone had put away their weapons, and there weren't even any guards patrolling around. Qi Tianlong knew at a glance that they were all from the Qi family. And he could also see that the Profound Light Cave had just gone through a fierce battle. After all, the monarch-level divine formation he had personally set up was destroyed. The mountains around the mine had also collapsed, and the ground was full of cracks. The workshops and buildings outside the mine had also been reduced to rubble. Such a tragic scene was enough to prove how fierce the previous battle was. However, Qi Tianlong was very confused. Since the Profound Light Cave had gone through such a fierce battle, how could the Qi family be safe and sound? How could they all survive and not be killed by the strong enemies? What the hell is going on? Qi Tianlong frowned and couldn't figure it out. Even the hundreds of guards he brought with him had relaxed their vigilance and looked at each other. Before they came, they were all in a tragic mood and were ready to sacrifice themselves. They didn't expect that the battle had already passed. At this time, Qi Tianlong's eyes swept through the crowd and found the Grand Deacon Qi Tianqing. Swoosh! Qi Tianlong quickly flew to Qi Tianqing and asked, "Big brother, what happened just now? Are you all okay?" Hearing the patriarch's voice, Qi Tianqing was full of excitement and said with tears in his eyes, "Patriarch, you're finally back. That's great." Qi Tianqing's loud voice startled the guards and craftsmen around. Suddenly, hundreds of people turned to look at Qi Tianlong. Seeing the patriarch appear, everyone's spirits were lifted, and they hurriedly bowed to pay their respects. In just a short while, the news spread among the crowd. Everyone in the Qi clan saw that not only had the clan leader arrived, but he had also brought along a large group of guards. Thus, everyone was truly at ease. Qi Tianqian also flew to the Grand Deacon's side and greeted Qi Tianlong. When the three brothers gathered together, the two deacons were filled with emotion. Qi Tianlong was confused and couldn't wait to ask, "Big brother, second brother, what's going on? Am I late?" Qi Tianqing was stunned for a moment. Then, he forced a smile and said, "Patriarch, you're not late. Of course, it wasn't too early. Actually, the matter had already passed. Even if you didn't come back, the profound light cave wouldn't have fallen." The second deacon hurriedly waved his hand and persuaded, "Big brother, don't say that." Although the patriarch had returned late, the crisis of the profound light cave had been resolved. But now that the patriarch has appeared, everyone can be at ease and focus on rebuilding the profound light cave. Qi Tianlong frowned and said with a wry smile, "You two mean that it's useless for me to come back? What the hell is going on? Who invaded the profound light cave? How many people did they bring? How many experts did they bring? Who resolved the crisis?" Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian looked at each other, and then they began to tell the whole story. A quarter of an hour later, Qi Tianlong learned of the matter and breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, it was indeed exalted Tianqing who turned the tide. This king really didn't misjudge him. With his appearance, the profound light cave is safe. To be able to get the help of exalted Tianqing is really the blessing of the Qi clan. Qi Tianlong's mood also became surging, and he was filled with endless emotions. He had never thought that the Blood Sword sect and the Lu clan would be so crazy and daring. They actually sent a large number of experts to openly besiege the profound light cave and blatantly rob it. This time, fortunately, Qi Tianqing acted in time and killed the invaders, resolving the crisis. Qi Tianlong didn't dare to imagine what the consequences would have been if Qi Tianqing hadn't been there. Thinking of this, Qi Tianlong felt a lingering fear. His hatred for the Lu clan and the Blood Sword sect had reached the peak. After a while, he calmed down and cupped his hands to the two deacons, saying, "Big brother, second brother, I really have to thank you this time. If you hadn't guarded the profound light cave and helped exalted Tianqing resolve the crisis, the consequences would have been unimaginable. After the reconstruction is completed, I will definitely reward you." After receiving Qi Tianlong's reward, Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian couldn't feel happy. On the contrary, the two looked at each other and smiled awkwardly. After dawdling for a while, Qi Tianqing explained with a smile, "Patriarch, there's no need for a reward. We don't deserve it. To tell you the truth, after the experts of the Blood Sword sect and the Lu clan destroyed the defensive array, we were doomed. At the critical moment, it was exalted Tianqing who descended from the sky to save us and stop the invaders. During these 3 days, we hid in the Divine Tower to recuperate and heal. Reverend Tianqing single-handedly resolved the crisis and killed all the powerful enemies." "What?" Qi Tianlong suddenly showed a look of horror, shocked and stunned. "Didn't you just say that the leader was that bastard Lu Jiuchong and the elder of the Blood Sword sect? Those two were both divine lord powerhouses. How could exalted Tianqing alone kill them?" Even if he heard it with his own ears, Qi Tianlong still couldn't believe it. Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian shook their heads at the same time, saying, "It's true, but we don't know the details. Exalted Tianqing is in the mine. You should ask him yourself." Without another word, Qi Tianlong turned and flew into the entrance of the mine to look for Qi Tianqing. After entering the mine, Qi Tianlong looked around and could still see a lot of debris, as well as traces of explosions and collapses. However, 90% of the tunnels and debris had been cleared, so the mine was not messy. Qi Tianlong asked a guard captain and learned that Qi Tianqing was in mine number 9. Therefore, he hurried to mine number 9. The mine was completely silent. Only Qi Tianqing was sitting on top of the mine, circulating his qi and cultivating. He had ordered that no one was to disturb him. However, Qi Tianlong was the patriarch. If he wanted to enter mine number 9, no one dared to stop him. As a result, when Qi Tianlong entered the mine and found Ji Tianqing was still devouring the energy of the vein. Chapter 2864. Young Master Tianqing. Seeing Ji Tianqing's figure, Qi Tianlong excitedly greeted him and quickly went to greet him. Ji Tianqing was awakened and quickly ended the technique. The black vortex in his palms also quickly disappeared. He stood up and turned to look at Qi Tianlong with a smile. "Greetings, Patriarch. You're finally back." The two cupped their hands and greeted each other. They weren't very intimate, but they weren't estranged at all. Ever since Ji Tianqing won the martial competition and helped the Qi family seize the profound light cave, Qi Tianlong trusted him more and more. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Qi Tianlong went straight to the point. "Young Master Tianqing, what happened while this old man wasn't in Qingshan City?" Ji Tianqing raised his eyebrows as he explained to him tirelessly. "Actually, from the day we seized the profound light cave, the conspiracy against the Qi family had already begun. The mastermind was the Blood Sword sect, the accomplice was the Lu family, and the other accomplice was the city lord's mansion. The experts of the Blood Sword sect accidentally discovered the secret of the profound light cave and knew that it contained a shocking amount of wealth, so they wanted to take it for themselves. However, the profound light cave belonged to the city lord's mansion, and the city lord's mansion was a noble of the divine nation. The Blood Sword sect couldn't openly seize it, as that would be openly trampling on the laws of the divine nation. Therefore, the Blood Sword sect had been patient and waiting. They wanted to wait until the martial competition to seize the profound light cave in the name of the Qi family and make the Qi family their puppet. However, the Qi family refused, so the Blood Sword sect could only look for the Lu family. In the end, the Blood Sword sect failed, and the profound light cave became the Qi family's. Hearing this, Qi Tianlong nodded and said, "We ruined the Blood Sword sect's plan and became a thorn in their side." Therefore, the Blood Sword sect mobilized various forces to deal with the Qi family and seize the profound light cave. The business in Tianfeng City had a problem, and it was the Blood Sword sect who deliberately led this old man away. After this old man left Qingshan City, they colluded with the Lu family to attack our divine beast garden and the profound light cave. The Blood Sword sect and the Lu family teamed up. This old man knew about it. However, the fact that the city lord's mansion has also become an accomplice of the Blood Sword sect is truly unexpected. Ji Tianqing nodded slightly and said, "The incident in the divine beast garden happened a few days ago." "You already know about it?" Qi Tianlong nodded and said, "When I was still in Tianfeng County, I received a message and knew what happened. After returning to the Qi residence tonight, the deacons and stewards gave me a detailed account of what happened." Ji Tianqing asked with a playful smile, "Qi Tianhe is your brother. I punished him in public. You won't hold a grudge against me because of this, will you?" Qi Tianlong hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Young Master Tianqing must be joking. You made a move at the critical moment, turning the tide and protecting the Qi family's 1,000-year foundation. This old man can't thank you enough, so why would I blame you?" Qi Tianhe was a traitor within the Qi clan. He actually colluded with the enemy and attempted to destroy the Qi clan's foundation. This was simply a heinous crime that was unforgivable. It was also fortunate that you punished him in public. If he was still alive, this old man would have ruthlessly dealt with him. Ji Tianqing didn't say much. He took out a godhead from his spatial ring and handed it to him. "Patriarch, this is Qi Tianhe's godhead. I have temporarily sealed it. As for how to deal with him, you can decide for yourself." Qi Tianlong was startled for a moment before reaching out to receive the godhead. He cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, young Master Tianqing. I didn't expect you to be so thorough. After this matter is dealt with, this old man will hold a family meeting and announce Qi Tian's crimes. You can decide on these matters. Ji Tianqing waved his hand to interrupt him and continued to explain the matter of the profound light cave. After the incident in the Divine Beast Garden, the Blood Sword sect, the Lu family, and the City Lord's mansion attacked the profound light cave at the same time. The three parties had long since formed an alliance and reached an agreement. After the matter was settled, the Blood Sword sect would get 60% of the profits, while the Lu family and the City Lord's mansion would each get 20%. The City Lord's mansion buried explosives in the profound light cave, causing the mine to collapse and create chaos. The disciples of the Blood Sword sect and the Lu clan then took the opportunity to attack the profound light cave and smoothly occupy it. Fortunately, I arrived in time and spent some time and methods to prevent this tragedy from happening. After Ji Tianqing's explanation, Qi Tianlong finally understood the truth of the matter. His heart fluctuated as he listened, sometimes clenching his fists in anger, sometimes feeling relieved. Although the matter had already passed, he still felt a lingering fear. Young Master Tianqing. This old man didn't expect the Blood Sword sect to be so ruthless. They are simply deranged. After this old man was lured away, the situation became so dangerous. If not for you holding the fort and saving the Qi clan from danger, the consequences would have been unimaginable. It is the Qi clan's fortune to have a lord like you. Qi Tianlong thanked Ji Tianqing sincerely and bowed to Ji Tianqing. Ji Tianqing reached out to support him and said, "Patriarch is too polite. These are all part of my duties." Qi Tianlong sighed a few more times before his mood gradually calmed down. Then, he recalled the scene when he entered the mine and asked, "Young Master Tianqing, when this old man came in, I saw that you seemed to be cultivating. This old man rashly didn't disturb you, did I?" Ji Tianqing could tell that although Qi Tianlong seemed to be concerned about him, he was actually suspicious. Qi Tianlong was definitely not stupid and had long guessed that there was something wrong with the profound light cave. In addition to the many mines, there must be even more astonishing wealth. Otherwise, the Blood Sword sect wouldn't have coveted it and tried to seize it by hook or by crook. Ji Tianqing shook his head and said calmly, "Patriarch, you've misunderstood. I'm not cultivating. I'm just checking this mine." Qi Tianlong had long heard about the matter of inspecting the mines. Not long after the Qi clan took over the profound light cave, he went to Tianfeng City. At that time, there was an accident in the mine that killed many craftsmen and miners. It was Qi Huanji who asked Ji Tianqing to investigate and found that the people of the City Lord's mansion deliberately left hidden dangers, not wanting the Qi clan to smoothly take over the profound light cave. Thinking of this, Qi Tianlong nodded slightly and said, "Then what is the result of young Master Tianqing's inspection? Is there a problem with these mines?" Ji Tianqing said expressionlessly, "The other mines are fine, but this one has a big problem." "Ah. What problem?" Qi Tianlong showed a puzzled expression, his eyes full of worry. Seeing him so nervous, Ji Tianqing's lips curved into a smile and he said slowly, "In this mine, I found the reason why the Blood Sword sect is so determined to take over the profound light cave." "What reason?" Qi Tianlong became more and more curious. Ji Tianqing casually shot out a golden light, picked up a few pieces of broken ore from the mine, and handed them to Qi Tianlong. Qi Tianlong subconsciously took the pieces of ore and examined them in his palm. Among the gold and brown ores, there were 2 pieces of 5-colored divine crystals. Qi Tianlong's eyes suddenly widened, revealing a look of disbelief. "These are divine crystals?" Ji Tianqing nodded and said with a smile, "Congratulations Patriarch, the Qi clan has struck gold." End of chapter. Qi Tianlong nodded to show that he understood, and said unwillingly, "Without strong reinforcements, it's almost impossible for us to defend the profound light cave. However, we finally obtained the profound light cave with great difficulty. Are we really going to hand it over just like that? I really can't accept this. Ji Tianqing smiled and shook his head. We've already formed a death grudge with the Blood Sword sect, so how can we just let them go? Don't worry, I have already made arrangements for this matter. There will be a turnaround soon. Qi Tianlong's eyes lit up and he asked expectantly, what is it? Young Master Tianqing, could it be that you have a way? Ji Tianqing smiled but did not answer. He only said, looking at the time, Huanji should be back soon. Huanji. Qi Tianlong was stunned for a moment. Only then did he remember that he had not seen Qi Huanji in the Qi clan or the profound light cave. Young Master Tianqing, this old man heard that Huanji had mobilized a large number of guards to follow you on some mission. What is going on? What is Huanji doing? Ji Tianqing nodded and said, there is indeed such a thing. As for the specific reason, let's wait until he returns. Since he was unwilling to explain, Qi Tianlong did not pursue the matter. The two chatted for a while more before Qi Tianlong took his leave. He had to oversee the profound light cave, preside over the overall situation, and supervise everyone's work. Ji Tianqing stayed in the mine and continued to devour the power of the ore vein. Unknowingly, another 20 hours passed. It was the evening of the second day, when the sun was setting in the west. Ji Tianqing's strength had finally reached 50 times that of a peak heavenly god. At the same time, the Qi clan's cleanup work was coming to an end. Under Qi Tianlong's leadership, everyone worked together and completed the reconstruction and repair work in a day. The 12 mines and tunnels had been restored to normal and could be mined at any time. At the entrance of the mine, hundreds of houses and buildings had been rebuilt. Only the monarch-grade divine formation protecting the profound light cave was still being set up and would only be completed in 5 days. However, the profound light cave was safe in the short term, so there was no need to worry. Following Qi Tianlong's order, many miners and guards entered the mine to work. The craftsmen also returned to the workshop and continued to smelt ore. Everything was back to normal. At this moment, a dazzling 5-colored divine light came from the northern sky. Under everyone's gaze, nearly 100 armored and sword-wielding guards arrived at the profound light island. Qi Tianlong, Qi Tianqing, Qi Tianchen, and the others immediately flew into the sky vigilantly, guarding against the group of people. Dozens of Qi clan guards also drew their swords and sabers to protect the entrance of the mine. The atmosphere was a little tense and oppressive. Everyone thought that another great battle was about to break out. However, the leader of the 100-man team flew out of the crowd. It was a young man from the God clan in high spirits. He was wearing shiny golden armor and had a golden divine sword at his waist. He was showing off his strength. He flew over excitedly, waving his hands and shouting at Qi Tianlong and the others from a distance of 1,000 feet. Father! Eldest uncle, second uncle. Hearing the familiar voice, Qi Tianlong and the other 2 brothers were stunned. When they saw the face of the young man in golden armor, they were all shocked. Qianji. Young master. It's the young master. There was no doubt that the handsome and heroic man was their young master, Qi Qianji. The hundreds of armored soldiers behind him were all guards of the Qi clan. After coming back to their senses, Qi Tianlong and the others quickly went up to greet them. When the two sides met, they greeted each other and asked about each other's well-being. After greeting each other, Qi Tianlong looked Qi Qianji up and down and asked sternly, Qianji, why are you dressed like this? Where have you been all this time? Was he fooling around again and swaggering through the streets like this? Do you know how many disasters have happened during this period of time? If it weren't for Master Tianqing, the Qi clan would have been done for. Qi Tianlong was so angry that he scolded Qi Qianji to his face. Qi Qianji didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said pitifully, Father, calm down and listen to my explanation. I've been running around the Sunset Seas for the past few days. I'm carrying out the mission that Master Tianqing gave me. How could I be negligent? Qi Tianlong and the two deacons were stunned. They asked instinctively, what mission? Qi Qianji puffed out his chest proudly and said proudly, Master Tianqing and I worked together to destroy the Guiyuan clan. We killed more than 200 enemies, including the president, the vice president, and a few deacons. We wiped out the backbone of the Guiyuan clan. Father, how is it? This is a great contribution, isn't it? End of chapter. Chapter 2866. After hearing Qi Huangji's words, Qi Tianlong and the rest were dumbfounded. Everyone stared at Qi Huangji with their mouths agape. No one could believe that Qi Huangji, who used to be a playboy for no reason, had turned over a new leaf and made such a contribution. It was simply too unreal, too dreamy. Everyone had heard of the Guiyuan Association. Although they did not know much about it, everyone knew that the Guiyuan Association had always been at odds with the Blood Flame Divine Kingdom. In the past 100 years, the Guiyuan Association had started to develop in a low-key manner and stopped causing chaos on a large scale. That was why the Blood Flame Divine Kingdom did not send troops to encircle them. Even so, the Guiyuan Association was still a thorn in the side of the Blood Flame Divine Kingdom. If there was a suitable opportunity, the Blood Flame Divine Kingdom would definitely exterminate them. But now, Qi Huangji and Tianqing had wiped out the Guiyuan Association. What kind of shocking miracle was this? If they reported this to the Divine Kingdom, they would definitely be heavily rewarded. Just thinking about it made them excited. Qi Tianlong and the rest were very excited. They looked at Qi Huangji with admiration and relief. The two deacons praised sincerely, Young Master is so righteous. You have made such a contribution. You are the pride of the Qi family. Young Master, this matter must be reported to the Divine Kingdom. This is a great opportunity for the Qi family to bring glory to our ancestors. Qi Tianlong calmed down and glanced at Qi Huangji. He chuckled and said, all right, you little brat. You really know how to flatter yourself. Do you really think that I don't know the situation? That's all thanks to Consecrator Tianqing. At most, you can only help. Qi Huangji was depressed and retorted, Father, how can you do this? You are turning a blind eye to my contribution. I was the one who led the team to the Hidden Dragon Island to exterminate the remaining members of the Guiyuan Association. Qi Tianlong laughed even more mockingly and exposed him mercilessly. Deacon Tianqing had already killed Sir God Guiyuan, the vice president, and a few deacons. All the backbones and experts were wiped out. Those who stayed on the Hidden Dragon Island were probably old, weak, sick, and disabled. That was why they left you to finish them off. Otherwise, you won't be able to deal with any of the deacons. Qi Huangji rolled his eyes helplessly. Father, your words are hurtful. It's a blow to my enthusiasm. All right, stop talking nonsense. Qi Tianlong waved his hand and said earnestly, Huangji, you are sensible now and can take charge of your own affairs. I am very pleased. Although you weren't the main force that destroyed the Guiyuan gang, you were the one who did it. But since you're willing to put yourself in danger for the sake of the Qi family, it proves that you have a sense of responsibility. Father is very happy. It was obvious that Consecrator Tianqing had planned this beforehand. He has brought fame and status to our Qi clan. This is the credit he has given us. You must be grateful. Don't be complacent. While praising him, Qi Tianlong also took the opportunity to educate him. Qi Huangji did not refute. He listened carefully before nodding and saying, Father, you're right. I understand. Right at this time, Qi Tianqing flew out of the profound light cave and arrived beside everyone. Qi Huangji hurriedly went up to greet him with joy. Ji Tianqing exchanged a few pleasantries with him before saying to Qi Tianlong, Patriarch, since Huanji has returned in triumph, you should go and hand over the matter to the guard commander. Take the evidence and spoils they have collected and go to the capital as soon as possible to report this matter to the king. Whether or not the Qi clan can defend the profound light cave will depend on how much benefit the destruction of the Origin Returning Association can bring to the Qi clan. Qi Tianlong was well aware of this and quickly nodded. This old man knows. The credit of destroying the Origin Returning Association is the Qi clan's protective talisman. Don't worry, Tianqing. The Qi clan will always remember this favor. This old man will also do his best to handle this matter and obtain the greatest benefits for the Qi clan. This time, this old man will go to the capital for at least half a month and at most a month. During this time, I will have to trouble Reverend Tianqing again. Ji Tianqing nodded slightly and comforted, Patriarch is too polite. With Huanji and I guarding, nothing will happen to the Qi clan in the profound light cave. Go and come back quickly. Qi Tianlong nodded and said to Qi Huanji, Huanji, I won't say anything unnecessary. In short, when I am not here, you have to follow Reverend Tianqing. You have to listen to his arrangements and learn more. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Qi Huanji nodded like a chick pecking rice. Father, don't worry. Qi Tianlong didn't delay any longer and quickly went to hand over the matter to the guard commander. He asked the Qi clan about the process of destroying the hidden Dragon Island and took away a large amount of evidence and items before leaving with a team of guards. After Qi Tianlong left, Qi Tianqing and Qi Tianqian also returned to the entrance of the mine and continued their work. Hundreds of triumphant Qi clan guards landed at the entrance of the mine and entered a palace to rest. Qi Tianqing and Qi Huanji entered the study of the palace to discuss matters. Huanji, was the trip to the hidden Dragon Island smooth? After the two of them sat down, Qi Tianqing asked about the situation. Qi Huanji nodded and said, the process was smooth. We flew continuously in the Sunset Ocean for 2 days and 2 nights before we found the hidden Dragon Island. The hidden Dragon Island was hidden very well and had a strong defense. If you didn't capture 3 captives and let them lead the way, we wouldn't have found the hidden Dragon Island at all, let alone exterminate the remaining members. In this operation, we killed more than 130 members of the Gui Yuan gang. There were more than 20 elderly, weak, women, and children. Their situation was really pitiful, so I took the liberty to let them go. As for our guards, 19 of them died in battle and more than 30 were seriously injured. This result of casualties is acceptable. Ji Tianqing nodded slightly and asked, what about the 3 deacons of the Gui Yuan gang? Why didn't they come back? Qi Huanji quickly explained, Deacon Shi and the other 2 betrayed the Gui Yuan gang and brought us into the hidden Dragon Island. When the remaining members of the Gui Yuan gang found out, they hated the 3 of them to the core and besieged them like crazy. They were so crazy that they couldn't wait to skin them alive and grind their bones to dust. Most of the remaining members of the Gui Yuan gang besieged the 3 of them at all costs. Even if they died, they wanted to drag them down with them. Therefore, the 3 deacons died on the hidden Dragon Island. Their ending was very tragic. Before they died, they also killed dozens of the remaining members of the Gui Yuan gang. Because of this, we were able to complete the mission so smoothly and the casualties weren't too high. Ji Tianqing nodded to show that he understood and muttered to himself, just as I expected. Qi Huanji was full of surprise. He lowered his voice and asked, Brother Tianqing, when you asked them to show their allegiance, you already guessed this result? In other words, when Ji Tianqing sent Deacon Shi and the other 2 to the hidden Dragon Island, he predicted that they would die. Ji Tianqing didn't answer, but instead asked, then, do you hope that the 3 deacons will die in battle or that the Qi family guards will suffer heavy casualties? Qi Huanji answered without hesitation, of course I hope that they will die. Chapter 2867. After blurting out this sentence, Qi Huangji realized that it was inappropriate and hurriedly explained. What I mean is that the 3 deacons betrayed the Gue Yuan Association and angered the remaining members. It's the Gue Yuan Association's business that they were besieged and killed. Moreover, people like them who are good at betrayal may bite you back at any time. How can you keep them? Ji Tianqing stopped talking about this matter and continued to ask, did you get anything after destroying the Hidden Dragon Island? Qi Huangji curled his lips and said gloomily, I thought that since the Hidden Dragon Island was the Gue Yuan Association's nest, there would be a lot of resources and treasures. But no one expected that the people of the Gue Yuan Association were so poor. Especially those who stayed on the Hidden Dragon Island, they were all weak chickens and had no savings to speak of. The most infuriating thing was that there wasn't even a treasury on the Hidden Dragon Island. The resources and wealth I got from the Hidden Dragon Island this time were not even as good as my family's. Although Qi Huangji used to be a wastrel and unreliable, Qi Tianlong didn't dare to hand over the family business to him and didn't give him too many resources and wealth. But after a few decades, Qi Huangji still managed to save up more than 50 million god stones. The total wealth he got from the Hidden Dragon Island was only about 20 million. How could he not be disappointed? Ji Tianqing smiled and comforted him, it's okay, I'm just asking. Don't worry too much. The purpose of destroying the Gue Yuan Association is not to plunder resources, but to give the Qi family a protective talisman. Moreover, the Qi family got the mysterious light cave. This wealth is at least 10 billion. Compared to that, what are those tens of millions of god stones and resources? Qi Huangji hurriedly nodded in agreement. Yes, I think so too. The matter of the Gue Yuan Association is over. Next, we have to do our best to protect the mysterious light cave. At this point, he suddenly thought of a question and paused. Oh right, Brother Tianqing, will you always stay in the Qi family? Ji Tianqing said without hesitation, of course not. Qi Huangji was stunned for a moment. His eyes dimmed as he muttered, I guessed it a long time ago. How could a peerless genius like you stay in such a remote town? However, he was still unwilling to give up and asked, what about 10 years later? Will you still represent the Qi clan in the martial arts competition? This was what Qi Huangji was most worried about. 10 years later, he didn't have the confidence to defeat the disciples of the other aristocratic families. At that time, if Ji Tianqing could not participate in the battle, the profound light cave would definitely be taken away. Ji Tianqing stared at him and said seriously, first, I can't stay here for 10 years. Maybe I'll leave in a few months. Chapter 2868. Viscount. Ji Tianqing raised his eyebrows as a playful smile appeared on his face. Looks like the king of the Bloodfire Divine Kingdom is quite generous. I thought your father would only be a baron. Qi Huangji nodded in agreement and said excitedly, yes. I thought so too. At the very least, he would be given the title of baron. After all, the city lord was only a viscount. The Bloodfire Divine Kingdom belongs to the Great Yan Empire, and these noble titles are used throughout the Great Yan Empire. Therefore, it is very difficult to get a title in the Great Yan Empire. Even the royal family can only confer the title of marquis at most. Our monarch is only a duke. Ji Tianqing smiled and said, although your father is a viscount, he will have the right to compete for the position of city lord in the future. If the Qi family grows stronger and manages it well, you might be able to rule a city. Qi Huangji was also excited, and his mind was filled with thoughts. Yes. If that day really comes, I will be the young city lord. Even now, my father's title is equal to the city lord's, and he won't have to worry about the city lord's revenge. I heard from my father that the Ning family of Tianxue County helped him a lot during his trip to the royal capital. If not for their help, it would have been very difficult for him to get the title of viscount. Ji Tianqing nodded slightly and said, I see. Ning Siyuan is engaged to you, so the Ning family is naturally happy to help. You are now the heir to the title of Viscount, so you are considered to be compatible with Ning Siyuan. Qi Huangji looked a little embarrassed and quickly waved his hand. Let's not talk about this. Let's get down to business. Ji Tianqing smiled and said, your father's title of Viscount is the Qi family's protective talisman. Neither the Bloodsword sect nor the city lord's residence can openly go against the Qi family. By the way, has this matter been confirmed? Has the king issued the edict? Qi Huangji quickly replied, the king made this decision during the court meeting today. He even praised my father in front of all the civil and military officials. The edict to confer the title of Viscount on my father was announced today. It would take another 2 days for the news to spread to all parts of the divine nation. As for the official conferment, as well as the official document issued by the king, it will take a few days for it to reach Qingshan City. Ji Tianqing nodded and said, in that case, we still can't relax our vigilance in the next few days. Qi Huangji furrowed his brows and asked doubtfully, Brother Tianqing, my father has been conferred the title of Viscount, and the news is about to spread. If the Blood Sword sect and the city lord's mansion give up on revenge, wouldn't this matter be settled? Ji Tianqing asked with a playful smile, why are you so sure that they will give up? Yuan Jia and Consecrator Shi are dead, and the fourth elder of the Blood Sword sect was also killed by me. Their plan has failed, and they have lost so much face and suffered such heavy losses. How could they give up? Qi Huangji frowned and said, if, and I'm just saying if, they feel that the cost of dealing with the Qi family is too great, and it's more than what they can gain. Are they really going to swallow their anger and not seek revenge? Ji Tianqing said with a calm expression, it wasn't easy for the Qi family to be conferred the title of Viscount, and it will soon soar. You want stability and don't want to take risks and continue to oppose the Blood Sword sect. Huangji, I understand your feelings. But think about it carefully. Will the Blood Sword sect care about a Viscount with no power? Will they really give up on the profound light cave? Qi Huangji was silent for a while before he gently shook his head. Ji Tianqing sighed and said sincerely, the Qi family is going to soar, and you also want to inherit the title of Viscount and enjoy the life of a noble, no longer experiencing twists and turns. But all of this is based on the Qi family being strong enough that no one dares to provoke them. Don't entrust your life and future to the enemy being merciful. Qi Huangji's body shook, and his eyes flashed with a bright light. Don't entrust your life and future to the enemy being merciful. He muttered these words to himself, as if he suddenly had an epiphany and was enlightened. Brother Tianqing, since the Blood Sword sect and the city lord's mansion won't let us off, what should we do next? When Qi Huangji looked at Ji Tianqing again, his eyes were clear and resolute, no longer filled with confusion and hesitation. Ji Tianqing was inwardly gratified at his reaction. This kid had never worried about the Qi family's business or future before, but now he was finally growing up and becoming sensible. Before the king's decree reaches Qingshan City, continue to be vigilant and protect the profound light cave and the Qi family. All that's left is to wait for the city lord's mansion and the Blood Sword sect to make a move. Qi Huangji nodded in understanding, then asked, in other words, we just need to take precautions and wait for changes? Ji Tianqing nodded. Qi Huangji said in a serious tone, good. Then I'll give the order now to transfer a large number of elite guards to protect the Qi family and the profound light cave. The Qi family is in Qingshan City, so the other party won't dare to make a move openly, so the defense can be reduced appropriately. However, the Divine Beast Valley and the profound light cave must be heavily guarded. Ji Tianqing added, focus on guarding the Divine Beast Valley. I'll set up 2 large formations to protect the entire profound light island, so you don't need to worry. That's good. Qi Huangji was even more confident now. Ji Tianqing thought for a moment, then asked, oh right, where are the sea race in the setting sun sea region active? How far is the nearest sea race tribe from Profound Light Island? Qi Huanji was startled, then frowned and said, "This is the edge of the setting sun sea region, so it's very close to land. The sea race basically won't appear here. The nearest sea race tribe seems to be called the Black Shark tribe. This tribe has about 20,000 people, and it's about 800,000 kilometers away from here. Brother Tianqing, why are you suddenly asking this question? Are you worried?" Ji Tianqing nodded and said in a low voice, "Someone can't openly go against the Qi family, and he hates the Qi family to the bone. Maybe he'll take the risk and kill with a borrowed knife. Although the probability of this happening is low, we still have to take precautions." Qi Huanji narrowed his eyes, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. At the same time, Qingshan City, in a study of the city lord's mansion. Yuan Qingkong, the city lord in a purple robe, was curled up in a spacious armchair, staring at the window with lifeless eyes. He used to be a majestic, domineering, burly, and imposing man. But now, his face was haggard, his expression gloomy, and his reddened eyes sunken. During this period, the pain of losing his son was too great a blow to him. His world had almost lost its color, and he spent every day in darkness and depression. The murderous aura accumulated in his chest, and he couldn't calm it down. After a long time, he suddenly opened his mouth and murmured in a low voice. "Yen Zong, have I been keeping a low profile for too long? How dare you let those rats and cats ride on my head?" End of chapter. Chapter 2869. The person called Yen Zong was a stooped old man in a grey robe. His face was dark, and his body was as thin as a stick. He stood quietly in the corner of the study. He did not make any sound, nor did he emit any aura. He was like a blurry grey shadow that did not attract any attention. However, his identity was not simple. He was Yuan Qingkong's most trusted butler and the second strongest person in the city lord mansion. A fourth-level divine monarch realm expert. Hearing Yuan Qingkong's murmur, Yen Zong kept his head down and his hands in his sleeves. He did not even lift his eyelids. "Of course, the Qi clan will not forget that your hands were once stained with blood, and you did not dare to go against the city lord mansion. However, that Qi clan's consecrator is an outsider. He was reckless and courted his own death. With your current identity, no matter how angry you are, you can only endure it. You cannot take revenge openly." Yuan Qingkong nodded slightly and said coldly, "The Qi clan's consecrator must die. I will personally cut off his head and make it into a wine cup to comfort my son's soul in heaven." Yen Zong did not comment and continued, "I just received news that Qi Tianlong entered the capital with Ning Qingfeng's help. He has already reported his achievement to the king. The king has announced that Qi Tianlong will be conferred the title of Viscount. In terms of title and reputation, he is already equal to you. You cannot do anything to the Qi clan. Otherwise, the king will be unhappy and the other nobles will kick you when you are down. For example, the Ning clan." He. Yuan Qingkong grinned coldly, revealing a row of white teeth. "Can't do anything to the Qi clan? I can't wait to raise the Qi clan to the ground and leave no one alive. However, this needs further planning. The most important thing now is to get rid of the Qi clan's consecrator." Yen Zong nodded slightly and said, "It's because of the Qi clan's consecrator that things have developed to this stage. Before this, the Qi clan was not even qualified to compete with the city lord mansion." Yuan Qingkong stopped talking about this matter and asked in a low voice, "Is there any news from the Black Mermaid tribe? Did that ugly black fish monster ask for an exorbitant price again?" Yen Zong nodded and said, "As you expected, the Black Mermaid King wants 30,000 pearls, 30,000 sets of high-grade heavenly god equipment, and 300 million divine stones." A cold glint flashed in Yuan Qingkong's eyes. He sneered and said, "Damn those black fish monsters, they are indeed greedy and cunning. It knew that I wouldn't be able to do it myself, so it dared to ask for such a ridiculous price. However, since it can destroy the profound light cave and kill the Qi family's consecrator, I'm willing to accept this condition. Sigh. Yan Zong sighed softly and said in a calm voice, "Actually, you don't have to work with the Sea tribe at all." Once this matter was exposed and used by those with ulterior motives, it would become an excuse for other forces to attack the city Lord Manor. After all, Qingshan City's location is rather sensitive, and the king has always been wary of you colluding with the Sea race. As long as you endure for a few more days, the Blood Sword sect will naturally deal with the Qi family and kill their reverend. Yuan Qingkong said in a low voice, "Of course I know that the Blood Sword sect won't let the Qi family and the Profound Light cave off. But I must avenge my son's death with my own hands. Moreover, I can't wait that long." The fourth elder of the Blood Sword sect had been killed, and the fifth elder had been heavily injured. All of the elite disciples he had brought with him had been killed. After suffering such heavy losses, the Blood Sword sect will definitely re-evaluate the Qi family's strength and won't dare to act rashly. In the short term, the Blood Sword sect won't act rashly. Yan Zong fell silent. Because he knew that Yuan Qingkong's analysis wasn't far from the truth. After a moment of silence, he said in a calm voice, "Since you've made up your mind, I'll go and reply to the Black Mermaid King." "Go." Yuan Qingkong waved his hand and said, "Tell the Black Mermaid King that I can agree to his condition, but I also have a condition. The Qi family's consecrator must be captured alive. If I can't kill that bastard with my own hands, why should I pay such a price?" "Understood," Yan Zong replied and immediately disappeared into the darkness. Yuan Qingkong was the only one left in the study, and he immediately fell silent. He looked at the window with a cold gaze and silently thought, "What kind of torture should I use to vent my hatred after capturing the Qi family's consecrator?" For 3 consecutive days, the Profound Light Island was very peaceful. No one from the Blood Sword sect came for revenge, and the city Lord Manor didn't do anything. Even the Qi Mansion and the Divine Beast Garden were safe and sound. Everyone in the Qi family had an illusion. Did the Blood Sword sect and the city Lord Manor admit defeat? The other party's plan had failed, and they had suffered a great loss. They shouldn't dare to attack again, right? With this thought, many of the Qi family's craftsmen and miners threw themselves into the mining business. Batch after batch of divine stones and divine crystals were transported out of the workshop. Qi Tianqing, Qi Tianchen, and Qi Huanji took turns to escort the divine stones and divine crystals back to the Qi Mansion in Azure Mountain City. During these 3 days, Qi Tianqing was also very busy. He spent 300,000 divine stones and 300 divine crystals to set up 2 high-grade monarch-grade divine formations on the Profound Light Island. A defensive formation protected the entire Profound Light Cave. A powerful killing formation covered the entire island. In this way, any enemy that stepped onto the Profound Light Island would be mercilessly killed. Even an expert like the Blood Sword sect's 4th elder couldn't destroy the defensive formation of the Profound Light Cave. Compared to before, the defensive strength of the Profound Light Cave had increased by 8 times. When Qi Tianqing finished setting up the arrays, the 2 arrays began to operate. Only then did Qi Huanji feel completely at ease. "Brother Tianqing, I didn't expect your attainments in the array Dao to be so profound. It's simply amazing. With the 2 divine formations you set up, the Profound Light Island is impregnable. Even if the Blood Sword sect and the city Lord Manor come back, they can forget about taking half a step onto the island." Qi Huanji had been watching from the side for a long time while Qi Tianqing was setting up the formations. He had seen with his own eyes that someone could combine a trapping formation, a killing formation, a disorienting formation, and a sealing formation together. Moreover, the 2 divine formations were high-grade monarch-grade divine formations that contained more than 200 million variations. It was truly complicated to the extreme. Seeing Qi Huanji so happy and carefree, Qi Tianqing couldn't help but remind him. Although there are two divine formations protecting the profound light island, you can't let your guard down. There are many experts in the blood sword sect, so you might be able to find a way to break it. On normal days, you still need to strengthen the patrols and maintain vigilance. You can't let your guard down. Qi Huangji quickly nodded and said, I understand, don't worry. After hesitating for a moment, he asked, Brother Tianqing, the Divine Beast Garden's defenses are weak. I'm also very worried. How about you go to the Divine Beast Garden again and set up two divine formations? A few days ago, the demonic beasts and divine beasts that had escaped from the Divine Beast Garden were found by the Qi family. Although the Qi family had only recovered half of the divine beasts, the other half had long since left Azure Mountain City and was very difficult to catch. But even so, the Qi family had recovered nearly half of their losses. Now, the Divine Beast Garden had returned to normal. Chapter 2870. Originally, Ji Tianqing was going to refuse Qi Huangji. The God Beast Garden had suffered heavy losses after the attack and had yet to recover. According to his estimation, the Blood Sword sect would not attack the God Beast Garden again in the near future. It would be a waste of time to go to the God Beast Garden to set up a formation. But how could he refuse Qi Huangji's request? Moreover, this was a small matter to him. Okay, then you stay here. I'll go to the God Beast Valley. Ji Tianqing handed over the matters of Profound Light Island to Qi Huangji and left. Whoosh! He turned into a white streak of light, streaking across the sky like a bolt of lightning, heading straight for the south. Qi Huangji stood in the air above the island and waved at his back. Brother Tianqing, I'll leave the matter of the God Beast Valley to you. Ji Tianqing did not say anything. He sped up and flew across the sky, quickly disappearing. Qi Huangji waited until his figure disappeared into the sky before flying back to the mine. At the same time, about 30,000 miles to the east of Profound Light Island, under the boundless ocean surface, there were clusters of black shadows moving rapidly in the water. There were at least 100 black shadows that were chasing southward at the speed of light. Not only on the east side of Profound Light Island, but also 30,000 miles to the west. 30,000 miles to the south, there were more than 300 black shadows hiding at the bottom of the sea. The black shadows spread out and formed a 100-mile-long defensive line. As time passed, Ji Tianqing was getting closer and closer. The 300 black shadows left the bottom of the sea and gradually flew to the surface. 15 minutes later, when Ji Tianqing was only 500 miles away from these black shadows, all of them rushed out of the sea. Whoosh! 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 More than 300 black shadows appeared in the air above the sea, blocking Ji Tianqing's path. Ji Tianqing, who was speeding, suddenly sensed the abnormality and stopped in the air. He frowned and looked indifferently at the 300-plus figures. There were more than 320 strange people with a human body and a fish tail. They were all 20 feet tall, slender and muscular, and covered in black scales. Although the upper body of these mermen was somewhat similar to that of humans. They also had a head, 2 arms, and a torso. But their heads were huge, and they all had wide bloody mouths, revealing 2 rows of sharp fangs. Even their hands were sharp claws, connected by black webbing, like duck feet. These black mermen were ugly and ferocious, emitting a cold aura. 300 of them had strength between the 3rd and 6th level of the celestial god realm. They wore simple armor and held in their hands spears and swords and halberds. To their hands, to their hands, to their hands, to gods. The other 20 mermaids were even more muscular, wearing complete armor and wielding excellent divine weapons. To God, to God, to God, to God, to God, to God, to God. Ji Tianqing's gaze swept across the sky. After seeing the appearance of those mermen, the corners of his mouth curled up into a sneer. To the two. To To heaven to Huanto Lord to Ji to God to his. Of course, Ji Tianqing knew the oceanic race. He immediately guessed the origin of those black mermen. At this moment, the 20 leaders of the black merman tribe suddenly raised their spears and swords and shouted, to capture him. As soon as they said that, the 300 black merman tribe warriors let out ear-piercing screeches. Everyone brandished their swords and sabers, unleashing all kinds of divine abilities and secret techniques to besiege Ji Tianqing. Swoosh! 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 Bam! 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 Thousands of divine powers shone with colorful lights, covering thousands of miles of the sea. The black merman tribe warriors also swallowed the endless seawater, turning it into thousands of black water arrows, shooting at Ji Tianqing. The leaders of the black merman tribe were afraid that Ji Tianqing would escape. They even joined forces to cast a spell, absorbing the seawater within a radius of 10,000 miles, condensing a screen of black water with a radius of 1,000 miles, sealing this region of the sea. Seeing this, Ji Tianqing's eyes turned colder, and the murderous intent in his heart grew stronger. He didn't even give a reason or an excuse before he started killing. As this thought flashed through his mind, he raised his hands without hesitation and used his divine powers. Sword rain. Following his cold shout, tens of thousands of cold lights lit up in the sky. Thousands of starry swords fell like meteors, covering thousands of miles of the sea. At the same time, Ji Tianqing used himself as a sword to counterattack. He turned into a giant golden sword that was thousands of feet long and charged at the black merman tribe warriors. Bam! 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 The divine spell light that blotted out the sky was shattered by the dazzling golden sword, and billions of colorful fragments splashed out. The giant golden sword slashed into the crowd and instantly killed more than 20 black merman tribe warriors, shattering their bodies and causing blood to splatter everywhere. Then, tens of thousands of starry swords poured down and shrouded the sea. Bam! 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 The attacks of the 300 black merman tribe warriors were destroyed by the starry swords. Every black merman tribe warrior was hit by at least 3 starry swords and exploded into pieces of flesh and blood. In an instant, the sky and sea within thousands of miles turned into a dark red world. Blood rained down and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The sea was in complete chaos and huge waves were created. Soon, the first round of sword rain ended. 70% of the 300 black merman tribe warriors were killed and only 90 were left. The 20 leaders of the Black Mermaid clan who were relatively stronger were also badly wounded and in a sorry state. This result was out of everyone's expectations. The surviving warriors of the Black Mermaid tribe were dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with shock. However, there were still more than 3,000 starry swords that had not disappeared. Under Ji Tianqing's control, these starry swords danced wantonly, forming a sword storm that swept across the surface of the sea. Swoosh! 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 The sword storm that was thousands of feet tall and hundreds of miles in radius was like a tornado. Everywhere it went, no black merman tribe warrior could stop it. If they were slightly slower, they would be swallowed by the sword storm and not even their remains were left. When the sword storm flew out thousands of miles, its power was depleted and it finally dissipated. The 3,000 miles of sea was in complete chaos. The endless sea was also dyed red. As for the Black Merman tribe warriors, only about 20 of them survived. Most of them were 8th and 9th level heavenly god realm leaders. Although they were still alive, they were covered in blood and had broken limbs. Their powers were greatly reduced. More importantly, they were all scared out of their wits by Ji Tianqing's terrifying power. When Ji Tianqing transformed into a starry sword and attacked, they were so scared that they scattered and fled. While they were running for their lives, they were also cursing madly. Bastard! We were all fooled by the king. That ugly god tribe warrior is not a heavenly god. He is definitely a lord god. Didn't the king say that we could capture him alive with a few dozen warriors? How can he be so powerful? Chapter 2871. In fact, the ocean race was a cold-blooded race. They were cruel and bloodthirsty. The boundless ocean was their home ground. Fighting in the sea, their fighting strength was extremely valiant. 300 god race experts would not be able to defeat the 300 black mermaids. However, the black mermaids were fooled by the black mermaids' king. They all thought that their target was only a peak celestial god. Therefore, they did not think highly of Ji Tianqing. They thought that it would be easy to capture him. The result was obvious. Ji Tianqing's terrifying strength and cruel methods were beyond their imagination. In the blink of an eye, their psychological defenses were destroyed. They were defeated. Swish! Ji Tianqing's dazzling golden sword light pierced through the sky like lightning. In the next instant, he caught up with the two black mermaids. Bam! Bam! The dazzling golden sword light that was hundreds of meters long pierced through them and smashed them into pieces. Not only did their physical bodies turn into smithereens, but even their godheads were smashed into pieces. After killing the two black mermaids, the dazzling golden sword light did not stop and charged toward the black mermaids not far away. Swish! Bam! Boom! Crack! Every dull sound represented the death of a black mermaids. The dazzling golden sword light flashed and danced in the sky. It was as terrifying as a talisman. 100 breaths later, the remaining 20 leaders of the Black Mermaid clan were all killed by Ji Tianqing. Not a single one was left alive. It did not matter if they flew into the sky, hid under the sea, or dived into the rock layer. It was all useless. Swoosh! The dazzling golden sword light stopped in the sky. With a flash, the sword light dissipated. Ji Tianqing appeared. He stood in the sky and looked down at the ocean. He used his capturing techniques to collect the godhead fragments scattered in the ocean. 320 black mermaids were killed. There were at least 3,000 godhead fragments scattered in the ocean within a few thousand miles. Although those black mermaids were weak. Even if Ji Tianqing devoured their godhead fragments, it would not be as fast as devouring the divine essence mine. However, there was a difference between the two. When he devoured the divine crystal lode, he could only devour the divine energy of various elements to increase his strength and realm. Devouring the quintessence fragments of the various deities would not only allow one to rapidly gain strength, but they would also be able to gather a large number of divine Tao laws. Inside Ji Tianqing's spatial ring were the godhead fragments of the blood sword sect's fourth elder and many other experts. He wanted to wait for a suitable opportunity to devour those godhead fragments and condense even more divine Tao laws. This way, he could break through to the divine Lord realm even faster. In my previous life, when I reached peak divine king realm, I only grasped over 1,000 laws. It's different this time. With the devouring divine ability, I'll definitely be able to condense 3,000 great Taoists. Perhaps, only by gathering 3,000 great Taoists can one break through the restrictions of the heavenly Tao. Ji Tianqing pondered as he collected the quintessence fragments. He had this idea a long time ago. It was precisely because of this that he was passionate about collecting godhead fragments and ceaselessly seizing the divine Tao laws of others. Soon, 15 minutes passed. Ji Tianqing found more than 2,000 pieces of godhead fragments in the several thousand kilometers of sea. Right at this moment. On the eastern and western seas, a large group of pitch-black figures leaped out, pouncing over with murderous intent. Ji Tianqing looked up. It was another 200 Black Mermaid race warriors. These were all ordinary warriors, their strength between the 3rd and 5th level of the celestial god realm. Ji Tianqing looked at them coldly. With a flash of brilliance in his right hand, he pulled out the sword of burial of heaven. The distance between the two sides was getting closer and closer. When the two sides were 50 kilometers apart, Ji Tianqing raised the sword of burial of heaven and prepared to attack. However, the two groups of Black Mermaid race warriors stopped on the sea. They were not in a hurry to attack. Instead, they spread out and formed a circle with a radius of 100 kilometers, surrounding Ji Tianqing. Ji Tianqing glanced at these people and did not take them to heart. He raised his head and looked toward the north. His eyes narrowed slightly, his gaze turning sinister. The main character is finally here. In the sky above the northern sea, there was a large group of black figures rushing over at lightning speed. There were about 50 Black Mermaid race warriors, all wearing excellent armor and divine weapons. The 3 leading Black Mermaid race experts were exceptionally large, and their auras were also extremely sinister. Especially the leading Black Mermaid race expert. He was more than 100 feet tall, and the black scales all over his body flickered with a cold light. He actually had 4 arms and 2 heads. His bloody mouth was filled with shark-like fangs. Wherever he flew past, the ocean, which was hundreds of miles deep, was frozen into ice. Ji Tianqing's gaze locked onto him as he muttered softly, "This person's strength is even more unfathomable than the blood sword sect's 4th elder. He might have reached the 5th level of the Divine Lord realm. He should be the king of the Black Mermaid race." Other than the Black Mermaid king, the other 2 Black Mermaid race experts could not be underestimated either. These 2 Black Mermaid race experts were one size smaller than the Black Mermaid king. Their auras were also slightly weaker. Even so, their strength had reached the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm. They were wearing ice blue monarch-grade divine armor, holding broadswords in their hands. Their entire bodies were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. Swoosh! In an instant, the Black Mermaid king and the rest flew into the encirclement. 30 miles away from Ji Tianqing, the Black Mermaid king and the rest stopped. Instantly, all of the Black Mermaid race's gazes gathered on Ji Tianqing. The Black Mermaid king stared with his 4 dark green little eyes, sizing up Ji Tianqing a few times before opening his bloody mouth and asking in a strange voice, "Kid, you're the Qi family's retainer." Ji Tianqing did not answer but asked instead, "You're the Black Mermaid king. If I didn't guess wrongly, the 2 beside you should be the Black Mermaid race's protector and priest, right?" He was not unfamiliar with the sea race's situation. The sea race normally lived in tribes. Only a small number of powerful races would establish cities and kingdoms. In the sea race tribes, the 3 most powerful leaders were the tribe king, protector, and priest. Ji Tianqing could tell that one wearing heavy armor and holding a broadsword should be the Black Mermaid race's protector. And that one wearing ice blue light armor and holding a pitch-black broadsword should be the Black Mermaid race's priest. The Black Mermaid king bared his fangs and shouted ferociously, "Kid, since you know our identities, you should know that you will definitely die. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Just surrender obediently." Surrender obediently? Ji Tianqing frowned and thought for a while. Suddenly, he revealed a cold smile on his face. "Black Mermaid king, you are the tribe king of the sea race. How can you be in cahoots with the Qingshan city lord? He must have promised you some benefits. As a condition of the deal, you have to capture me and hand me over to him, right?" The Black Mermaid king was stunned for a while before he laughed out loud. "Ha ha ha. Kid, you're not stupid. You can roughly guess it. What a surprise. That's right. That old bastard wants me to capture you alive. He wants to kill you personally to take revenge for his unlucky son." End of chapter. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.